Hello there, hello there, hello there, hello there. Welcome back to the Agostino Zinga Show with your host, Agostino Zinga, and this is episode number 895. That is ocho, nueve, cuatro. No, ocho, nueve, cinco. 5 is cinco, right? Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho, nueve, diez. Yes, cinco. Ocho, nueve, cinco, with your friend you wish you never had, Agostino Zinga, coming at you from an undisclosed location somewhere within the depths of East, South, West, North London. How you doing? How you feeling? Oh, it's good to hear. That's good to hear. How am I? Pretty good. All things considered, pretty good. All things considered. Today is Champions League Day, and Manchester United are pretty terrible. So we're not in the Champions League. We're in the Europa League. That's later on in the week, right? That's the that's the Timu Champions League. And this season's been horrible. We're currently 15th, 14th. I don't know where we are on the table. The last time I checked the table was in January. And we just come back from a really, bore 0-0 draw against City. Manchester derby felt like more like a testimonial for KDB. So there's not much to look forward to when it comes to the, season, when it comes to the future, the summer. So all we do as United fans to entertain ourselves is we complain about United on streams. We complain about United on Twitter Spaces. We complain about United on social media. We complain about United on forums. Big up Fred Tissue. Fuck Fred Tissue forum. But one thing we also do, we love a good hate watch. We love a good hate watch. We love a good hate watch. And today's hate watch is going to be out of this world. Today's hate watch is going to be sensational because you know what we're hate watching today? We're going to be hate watching Arsenal v Real Madrid in the Champions League. Arsenal are playing Real Madrid and we're going to be hate watching them, and I can't freaking wait. It's going to be so much fun. Even though we're not in the Champions League and they are, they're doing some good things. I think they're probably unlucky not to be in contention to win the league, because I don't think this Liverpool's team this season has been that impressive, and the league in general has been a bit meh, right? This is probably the best time they could have won it, with Chelsea kind of floundering, us being us, Man City kind of dropping off. They could have really pushed Liverpool to the end, but they didn't really. Run out of gas. Maybe the lack of strikers didn't really help. When Havertz was playing, he wasn't scoring goals. The signings they made, like Sterling, didn't really work out too much, and the rest of the players weren't able to chip in enough. Saka's long-term injury, or lengthy injury. Martinelli being in and out of the team, injured as well. That hasn't helped them. But I still love a good Arsenal hate watch. I still love to watch Arsenal and hope that they lose, and then follow it up after they've lost by listening to a Arsenal dedicated Twitter space after the game where they attempt to lick their wounds. And if I'm really naughty, I might get in there and pretend I'm an Arsenal fan, get fucking brought up on stage, and then just start going off on fucking Arsenal. And then my favorite thing is to watch AFTV. Oh, AFTV and chill. There's nothing better. AFTV, a nice meal, maybe a little zoot, right? Maybe a nice little drink. And you put that on your phone and you're just scrolling through as you're listening and watching Arsenal fans rage. That's going to bring me fucking joy. So that's what I'm looking forward to tonight as I'm recording this particular podcast, particular stream on Tuesday, the 8th of April. That's what I'm looking forward to. A bit of Arsenal TV and chill, because you know what? United are too terrible, so I don't want to put myself through that, of course. I don't want to do any introspection. I don't want to fucking focus on getting United's issues over the board or clarifying those problems. I'd rather see my enemies flounder, my enemies stagnate, my enemies fail. That's the plan. But apart from that, I've been pretty good. Training a bunch, working out a bunch, running a bunch, lifting a lot of weight, cycling a bunch, keeping myself nice and trim. I've also been avoiding going out because I'm, obviously going to Berlin end of the month for my little birthday weekend. So I thought, you know what? Let me be locked in for the next 6 weeks or so. I've been so locked in. Although there was a temptation yesterday or this past weekend to go to Fold, because there was Neighborhood, the label, 15-year anniversary, and they had Freddie K, Josie Rebel, DJ Pete, who I'm a big fan of, and a few other people playing there all last night. And I think it was an extended party too. It was like the proper 24-hour one, which I should have probably went to, but I kind of didn't, and I regret not going to it, because some of the videos I've seen online, whee, it looked fun, bro. It looked fucking fun. But another time. Anyway, let's move on. There's so much things I want to talk to you about today. There's so many things I want to talk to you about. There's so many things I want to talk to you about today. So I hope you are locked in and tuned in. And whatever you're doing today, kick back, relax, because we've got a lot of things to get through on the #1 cultural commentary podcast in the world. Accept no imitations. This is the best thing you've ever stumbled across. Yes, you hear me screaming, shouting, having some dicey opinions here and there, but by and by, in terms of what I cover, in terms of my interest, in terms of my humor, in terms of my looks, in terms of the way that I kind of moisturize myself, in terms of how clean I am, in terms of what I smell like, in terms of the hairstyle, the glasses, the fucking beard, the earrings, the size of my ears, the size of my fucking face, my microphone, the webcam, everything going on here. It's the best cultural commentary podcast in the world, except no imitations, except none, because there isn't. Where else can you hear the subjects that you hear about on this particular podcast? Where else can you hear them? Name them. Exactly. Just what I thought. Just what I thought. So, first things first we want to get into. First things first. This is a bit of a negative thing to talk about. Somewhat negative, somewhat positive. Ayo, 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 ayo. Fuck Taylor Sheridan. Fuck Taylor Sheridan. If you don't know who Taylor Sheridan is, do your Googles. But if you do know who Taylor Sheridan is, you know why I'm doing it. You know why I'm saying it. I just watched, was it season 2 or 3 of 1923, episode 7? And I am heartbroken. I am heartbroken. I'm frustrated. I am angry. I am pissed off. Why is this show so miserable? Why is 1923 the most depressing TV series in all TV series history? Yes, I understand there's some realism injecting it to make it depressing. It's set in 1923. You'd imagine, you know, with the cowboys and the Indians and the settlers and this and the that and the bank robbers and all this malarkey that's happening. You can imagine just staying alive, just making it to age 30, making it to age 50 in that era must have been a miracle. It's a real roll of the dice, right? It's a real miracle back then because it's such a lawless country, America, at that particular time, right? Everything is up for grabs. So everybody's fighting for everything, killing for everything. I get it. But this show is so depressing because there are no like happy endings. The people that you're rooting for, that you're championing, that you're hoping that they kind of figure it out and they can traverse it across the entirety of America and finally meet their fucking spouse and lived happily ever after. They didn't get to the end and they fucking die. Why? It makes no sense. And this is a spoiler alert, obviously, but I'm talking about Alex Dutton. Alex and Spencer Dutton, the story in there, I think was the one shining light in 1923. The one storyline, the one character arc, whatever's going on there, that was somewhat positive, that was somewhat rosy. In and amongst all the dreary stuff of like the abuse, the physical abuse, the mental abuse, the R-wording, the essaying, the harassment, the racism, the bigotry, the violence, right? Like just non-stop in this series. It just makes you think, fucking hell, this is bleak. And then you have this relationship, right? These star-crossed lovers that happen to cross paths with each other in unexpected circumstances. I think they found each other in fucking Africa, if I'm not mistaken. Back then, which must have been fucking crazy. You're in Africa on a safari and you bump into some American guy and you're this highfalutin posh white girl from England. It must have been fucking wild. They fucking fall in love with each other. They get separated and they want to meet each other back again in America. And all she knows is that they have a ranch somewhere in Montana. So she's trying to get from England to America in the 1900s with no airplanes, right? Just trying to figure it out. And I don't even think cars were what they were before she even started anyway. Mostly fucking horseback and shit. So I get the hazardous, journey that she's going to embark on. But God almighty, Alex, man, she suffered like she was pregnant and she got sexually assaulted. Pregnant and she was getting beat, arrested, locked up. Like, and then she meets that couple, that really, cool, rich kind of upper class couple that takes her in because they're infatuated with her story, and they say, cool, we're going to help you out. And then when they take her back home and kind of feed her and clothe her and keep her warm, she then spills the beans on how she met her husband, Spencer, and they kind of fall in love with the story, and they're like, you know what, fuck it, just jump in the car now, let's drive to Montana. But they don't know that driving to Montana is hazardous because of the fucking snow. So during the fucking drive, they ran out of gas and they get caught in a snowstorm. She falls asleep due to hypothermia. She wakes up and finds the fucking wife of the husband in the front seat, dead, completely stone cold. She goes to look outside the car and she sees the husband on the floor, dead, lying on the floor. Clearly, he went to go get some help and he collapsed outside and couldn't move, and he's there on the floor. So she got these people tried to help her, and in her attempt to try and find her husband, she inadvertently got them killed. And they're fucking lovely people. And now she's having to figure out a way to try and get back to her husband. She finally gets back to her husband. She gives birth to the baby in really stressful situation, but then still ends up dying. How does she die? Well, she's the most strongest, resilient character in the show. Why is this show so miserable? Why must it constantly break my heart? Why? Tyler Sheridan, why do this to us? Honestly. This show is so miserable, man. It really bums me out. It kind of bums me out the same way when you first watch Walking Dead, you know? Like every person that you kind of loved, every character that you kind of rooting for, every character that you quote unquote fell in love with, boom, they get fucking nanked. Boom, they get bitten by a zombie. Boom, they get fucking shot by a fellow fucking citizen and shit, a human being, right? Non-zombie person, through jealousy, bitterness, whatever else it may be. God damn it, man. 1923 is so depressing. It's so utterly depressing. Especially the violence against women. It's too much, bro. I know I might sound woke and shit, but it's just too much. It's too much, bro. I can't keep watching this harassment episode in episode out. I get it. Back then it was tough, but god damn, man. Every fucking day, every minute, they're having to navigate landmines of like assault and abuse and this and that, and getting R-worded, getting fucking assaulted, getting this, getting that, manipulation, bullying, like, leave us alone, man. I've had enough, but I can't get enough. Honestly, man, this show is like, it breaks my heart. Every time I watch it, it breaks my heart, but I do recommend you check it out. 1923. If you're a bit of a history buff like I am, you'd love it. If you're a bit of a history buff like I am, you'd love it. Sorry that I just played a video from Fashion Roadman accidentally there. Big up Fashion Roadman. But if you're a history buff, you'll fucking love it. You really will. Because it's, you know, it's not obviously an accurate portrayal of history, but it gives you an idea. It gives you an idea of what it must have been like to live around those times, you know? And it maybe gives you a bit of an appreciation, for the era that we live in now. Things are not perfect, things are not great, but at least we don't have to literally fight tooth and nail, right? For literally everything that we have, you know? There is sometimes some light at the end of the tunnel. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. The show fucking bums me out. But hey, it is what you can do. It is what you can do. So, moving on. So, I was outside early on today. Oh, no, not outside. I was in my apartment after the gym, chilling, mulling over things. And I thought to myself, you know what's interesting? Like a little bit of observation, a little bit of introspection I did with myself recently. I think I've come to the realization that one interaction, that one brief moment in my life when I was like 10 or something years old. I think I've shared this story plenty of times on the podcast before, but I'll give you a brief synopsis. Essentially, when I was around 10 or 11 in the area that I was living in, I was, I guess, somewhat popular at that time with the kids in my local area. And then some new kid moved in next door to my area. And this new kid, at first, we weren't really friends. It's a typical story, right? We kind of didn't get along the first time he kind of moved in, but later on we became friends. Well, for whatever reason, that new kid, when he moved in, he then started hanging around with the friends that I was hanging around with. And for whatever reason, they all decided that I was surplus to friendship requirements. And they kind of stopped knocking for me. That's what happened back in the day, right? People would knock at your door so you could come out, or you'd hear them playing and then you go out. So they were either avoiding playing out near my house, or they were just avoiding knocking for me when they'd play out. So I kept having to chase them to find them. And I remember one particular day, I was trying to find them, and I couldn't find them. And I was going to all the spots. I went to the park benches. I went to the swing. I went to the little bit in the back of the bushes. I went to this bit. I went to this bit. I was looking everywhere to find them. Then I finally found them at one of the other boys' houses. Not the neighbor, but the other group. I found them in that driveway. And I remember when I turned up, they kind of were like, oh, you know? They all kind of collectively rolled their eyes when I turned up. And then eventually, one of the boys in the group, one that I was friends with, basically said to me, we don't want to be friends with you. That guy is all funny enough, his name was Thomas, which is like my middle name, which is fucking weird. But he was like, yeah, we don't want to be friends with you. Something along that kind of lines. I remember just hearing, yeah, we don't really want to be friends with you. Could you just leave us alone type of thing? And again, it's my group of friends. It's like I'm the one that brought those guys together. And then I'm the one that kind of, because in my area that I was in, for whatever reason, the kids were a bit splintered. So those kids on my side that were together, and those kids on the other side weren't. But I kind of brought everyone together through football and just hanging around and being silly and being my positive, happy, wappy self. And then this neighbor kid moves in, who I don't get along with at first, but then later on we become friends. And then he then goes and replaces me. No, I guess not replaces me, but he takes over the group. I don't think it's even a replacement. And then they all decide collectively they don't want to be my friend anymore, which was weird. And I remember when he said that to me, and I don't know why I remember this memory. I have this memory like vivid in my mind. And I remember him saying we'd only be friends. I didn't tell you the rest of it. I just like I was just going red, right? I was going red and I was getting so angry. I remember the rage that was filling me. I literally felt a compulsion to pick up a brick and just hit the guy over the head with. I think that's the first time I realized that I might have a bit of a temper, you know? Because I think the first reaction that I had was like embarrassment. The first initial reaction was like shame and embarrassment. And as soon as I felt that inkling of like shame and embarrassment, I went to get violent. Like I wanted just to stop it and like get violent and just like cave this guy's head in with a brick. Because I didn't want to feel that feeling of being embarrassed and being felt like, you know, being belittled. I think that's the main reasons why I also avoid like hanging out in certain places. That's why I don't really respond well to like people that lick ass and stuff. Because my initial reaction, my response will always going to be violence. It's not going to be words, which is not good, especially in the scene that I'm in. No one's ever going to look at you that way. You're going to be judged differently, right? And there's also the angry black man archetype. You don't want to ever do that. So I purposely avoid certain situations because I know if I get in it, I'm not going to have an argument. I'm going to want to fight. And no one wants to fight these days. No one should want to fight these days, right? It's just fucking crazy. Especially me at my age. If I start fighting, I'm going to go to prison. You know what I mean? It's not going to end well for anyone. So I remember feeling really angry, but then just running home like a scene in an American movie. I ran all the way home. I ran home, smashed through the door. Imagine, African house. That's not allowed, right? I smashed through the door, slam it, and run all the way upstairs in my room. No, don't even go run in my room. I run into my little brother's room. I'd run to my little brother's room. They shared a room. I had my own room. But I'd run into theirs because it's the first one open. And I just jump on the bed and start bawling my eyes out on the bed with my kind of head in my hands. Yeah. I'm fucking crying, right? I'm on my bed crying. Like, I don't think I've cried that hard ever since. And I don't, you know what's really traumatic too, actually, when I think about it? This might be the reason why I don't cry in general. That might be the reason why I'm so like numb and I'm cold and shit. And when something really, when something tragic happens in society, I usually laugh at it and mock it and, try and use humor and don't really connect to it. I don't, nothing really like troubles me that much, which is kind of disturbing and, a bit sadistic, who knows? But I wonder if like the lack of crying now is because I cried about something so trivial and like meaningless back then, I was really sobbing. Like my heart was broken. I was 10 years old. I can remember just like crying. Like, when you cry so hard, you start getting a headache. You know that? You start getting a migraine. You're crying so hard. Like snot coming out, like bawling my eyes out on the bed. I'm bawling my eyes out. And then I remember my dad coming into the room. And he's like, what the fuck happened, son? He's so concerned. What the fuck? What if I happened? And then I finally tell him what happened, right? Through like cries and like, through bogeys and like, hyperventilating. I finally get it out and tell him what happened. Basically, my friend said they don't want to be friends with me anymore. And I remember the look of disgust on his face when I said that. He was so disappointed. He's like, what the fuck are you crying about that? Like, pull your socks, like kind of, typical African, parent response. Pull your fucking socks up and fix up. What are you crying there for? That's dumb. Don't cry about it. Who cares about friends or something along those kind of lines? And I remember quickly thinking, oh shit. He might be right. Yeah. But it was just the lack of, but I guess all parents are like that. I think it was the lack of, what's it, observation? The lack of acknowledging my feelings at that moment. That I remember feeling, oh shit, all right, cool. I guess I should just pull my socks up, right? I guess I should just like wipe my tears away and just keep it moving. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But I remember kind of being hurt at the lack of like acknowledgement of why I'm crying. Yes, it was dumb, but just the lack of like, hey, I know it's upsetting, that's really sad, just, sitting with me or whatever. It was more like he was disappointed I was crying, like upset I was crying. In the same way, like African parents, which is good, Rowley. When African parents, when you get involved in your first fight, like I remember when we got involved in our first fight, right, in the area, when you get involved in your first fight and you lose, and you go back home and you got your eyes all lumped up or something or whatever's happened, you got scratch on your arm and your face. The first thing your African parents do is like they get upset that you come back home and you lost. So they literally tell you to go back out there and fight again, right? Which usually doesn't end well because you're already tired, you're demoralized, right? Sometimes it can work. They give you a pep talk and you can kind of go out there like, right? Come here, you can be all semantic like that. But usually it doesn't work well. But it does kind of toughen you up. But I remember that particular moment thinking, fuck, man, that hurt. But then one of the lasting things I remember saying to myself was, I'm never going to let somebody let me down like that again. And I honestly legitimately think, however many years after the fact, that is the main reason why I don't have any friends now. Why I purposely like pull myself away from groups. And I say this with like being conscious that I made decisions in my life to not be around people, like on purpose. Even though people have wanted to be my friends, they wanted to like take the relationship from like, hey, we're just like, cordial. We see each other here. We're associates. Because you could always do that, right? It happens at work. When you're in a working environment, it always happens. There's always one or two people that you meet at work that start off as being your colleagues, and then they kind of level up, through different things. Maybe you go on holiday together, you go out to eat, you go to this, you go to that, you sleep over, and they become your friends, right? They level up. But whenever that's happened, whenever there's an opportunity to level up, I just pull away, I retreat. Always. I do it all the fucking time. And I legitimately think the reason why I do that, right? The reason...
Therapy, my G.
Oh yeah, big up. Maybe. Big up King Bayu. But I honestly think the reason why I do that is because of that one time. It's because of that one time in my life where the kids in my area essentially rejected me. I honestly think that's the reason why I have continually gone out of my way to avoid being friends with anybody. Because I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, I remember like when I was like, I don't know, what was it, 18 or something? I think that was probably the time I had the biggest group of friends I had, around 18 to like 22-ish. Or maybe not, 18 to 25-ish probably. The biggest group of friends I had. And that was also the time that I kind of got into like different little scenes and subcultures. And also the time that I was like out and about promoting parties and shit, right? And really being a city boy. But I remember there were different groups along that kind of timeline that I was a part of that I purposely like pulled myself away from. All the time. I just kind of ran away. Whenever it was kind of time to level up the relationship, I retreated. I went fucking ghost, I think I've been the originator of ghosting people, just like going, and even ghosting, just like, just doing my own thing and kind of enjoying my own company. But I'm also wondering now, having done some observation, I wonder if do I actually enjoy my own company? Like, am I my own best friend? Am I really a lone wolf? Or have I conditioned myself to accept that because I don't want to be heartbroken again? And have a situation where someone says, hey, I don't want to be your friend anymore. Because that shit, bro, like, that shit hurts more than a breakup. I don't know. Is anybody... Yeah, that's a weird thing. No one's actually broken up with me. I've usually done the breaking up. But I'd imagine... in my personal opinion, I think when people break up with you as friends, it hurts way more than a relationship. I don't know why it is. But that rejection from like a friend hurts way more than the relationship, which is probably why I've kind of gone on my way to avoid any of those type of friendships. But to be fair to me, I still have managed to make it work. It's not ideal. I don't think I'm the most evenly killed person out there, but I don't think many of us are. But I think as long as I acknowledge that I do those things and I don't try to like, you know, gas myself up or convince myself that that isn't the case and that I am perfectly, you know, normal and it's everyone else's problem and I did everything correct, I did nothing wrong in DSP's words, fuck DSP kind of thing. That's kind of a good thing. It's a little bit of a start. But I have observed that. I was thinking to myself, wow, man, like I remember with the BNTL cruise precisely. That was the first time I went to like a lad's holiday when I was around 18. We went to New York. One of the best holidays ever. The first time we basically did a pilgrimage to Supreme, basically, right? When Supreme was on that old location. We did a pilgrimage over there and it was fucking phenomenal. We went to a New York thing, so we got to meet Aaron Bondaroff, we got to meet the Mighty Healthy people. Like it was a sick time, right? But I remember that group of people looking back recently, and a bunch of them are still friends now. Maybe the majority of those guys, the ones who haven't passed away, R.I.P. Julian, they're still around now. R.I.P. Julian, R.I.P. Josh. Those guys are still friends. I might be one of the only one or two who's not in that circle, you know? And I know what happened. After we went to New York and we came back, I kind of like purposely like dipped and kind of did my own thing, you know? I didn't really hang out with them anymore. And I remember they kept inviting me to things. I'd go to the 1 or 2 things, but then I'd miss 6. Then I'd go to one thing, then I'd miss 5. Then I'd go to one thing, then I'd miss 7. And then over time, people will keep inviting you. But if you keep flaking, if you keep no-showing, they're just going to stop inviting you. And then suddenly, your phone ain't ringing anymore. Suddenly, you're not getting DMs or texts. You're not doing it either because you're proud and you have your ego. And then boom, distance. And then as time goes on, you move around, life, job, whatever, you get busy, relationships, and then, you know, you haven't spoken to that person in 6 years, 10 years, 12 years. You know what I mean? It's pretty wild, especially when you think about how often and how tied to the hip you were with these people. So it's intense. It's really insane. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm laughing because I sound fucking mental. I really do. But I honestly was thinking the other day, I was like, I don't know why, I was just questioning my preconceived ideas of myself. I was like, hold on, am I actually like this like lone wolf guy? I do everything by myself, soldier, or am I just damaged goods? Am I just damaged goods? And I'm literally trying to protect myself from that damage again. So I'm like keeping myself away from people and not being a part of groups and not being in, you know, not being in group chats, not being in groups, not going to, like, I hate groups. I hate group shit. I hate group runs. I hate group workouts. I hate everything to do with groups. I fucking despise them. And that might be the reason why, because I was rejected from a group at 10 years old. Could you imagine that? Like that one meaningless fucking thing has resulted in years of just like solo raving. Honestly, I swear, man, us humans, bro, us humans are absolutely tapped. Oh no, not us, me. I am fucking tapped. I swear to God, the most tapped individual you'll ever find. But you guess what? It makes for good content. It makes for good content. Like and describe. Big up 4 extra. Big up 4 extra. Oh, god damn. Alright, cool. The other thing I was thinking about, on the subject of friends and shit, I saw this clip. I'm not going to play it because Joe Budden's fucking awful when it comes to copyright striking people and whatnot. I saw this clip from the Joe Budden podcast, and essentially to give you a brief review of what happened. You know, obviously the Kendrick and Drake thing was going on, and during Kendrick and Drake thing, Joe Budden took it upon himself to really kind of like side with Kendrick because he's not a fan of Drake because they had a falling out. And every moment there was a situation, he would kind of, you know, speak about on his pod and essentially, you know, throw shots towards Joe Budden. Sorry, towards Drake. And then I guess Drake caught wind of this and was aware of it, and they've been kind of going, you know, he's been sending some shots here and there. And in the latest record for Nokia, on that Some Sexy Songs For You, he explicitly says in one of the records that, you know, he bigs up Melyssa Ford, who's one of the co-hosts of Joe Budden podcast, one of, I think, 6 or 7 of them there. And then he says in another line, oh, it's a shame that you're sitting next to a dick sucker, right? Obviously, it's talking about Joe Budden. So that song obviously has gone viral. It's I'm not sure if it's number 1, but it might be top 10 song in the Billboard. The music video for it just dropped recently. And of course, it mentions Melyssa Ford, who was a really famous video vixen back in the day. So she, you know, naturally was very happy about it, especially being Canadian herself. And she kind of lent into it a little bit. She used the song as, background for one of her, like, hot girls coming out the beach type of videos, and just, had her moment with it. Well, I guess for whatever reason, Joe didn't like that. And there's been a little tension on the Joe Budden podcast about how Melyssa Ford has been kind of engaging with that song. Because I guess in the song it shouts her out, but it also says, it's a shame you're sitting next to a dick sucker, or like words to that extent. So Joe Budden's not happy with it. So eventually now, in the latest episode of Joe Budden podcast, Joe essentially confronts Melyssa Ford about it, because Melyssa Ford put out a statement regarding the whole song and the video, and the merch that was on the website as well is an important part of the story, because there was a hoodie that Drake was selling as a part of the merch for Some Sexy Song For You, and on the back of the hoodie it had a picture of Melyssa Ford on it, and it had a URL, and if you clicked on the URL, at first Joe Budden's team found out what the URL was and registered it, so it pointed towards the direction of the Joe Budden Patreon. And then I guess Drake's team changed the URL, and now it's pointing directly to Melyssa Ford's YouTube. So, little games and shit. So all that to say, I guess with the backlash of all that sort of stuff, Melyssa Ford kind of got a little bit self-conscious about it and decided to put out a statement, kind of like drawing a line underneath it, clarifying her position, and essentially, saying that she's not involved in the beef. Joe Budden didn't like that, and I guess decided to confront her on the pod, and essentially told her and others on the podcast they're not allowed to mention his name in any press or interviews. Talk about yourself and what you do on the pod, but don't speak for me. Don't talk about me. And I was listening to that clip, and I thought to myself, like, that's incredibly rich coming from Joe Budden. That's incredibly rich, given that he fell out with Rory Moore, the original host or co-host of Joe Budden podcast. I think, because I was a big fan of the show, now I don't watch it anymore because I don't like Joe Budden too much because of his personality, but he was initially put off, or they were originally put off by him, because I think the seeds were sown when he basically was saying something along the lines of, oh, I don't owe my friends loyalty. Now, what we didn't know as fans was that during that particular time, Rory and Moore were trying to get a hold of their accounting. There was issues that weren't really being spoken about regarding the Spotify contract. There was also, I think, a little bit of an issue when Joe Budden was announced as the diversity officer president thing of Patreon, but it only spoke about Joe. It didn't speak about the podcast, because essentially that's what he always does. Right? It's always about Joe. It's never about the host, even though the Joe Budden podcast, although it's named after him, it's more so about the entire collective of people. It's never just about him. No one's only listening to the podcast just for Joe. They're listening to it for everybody's opinion, right? Everybody's hot take. And, the combinations, the relationships, and how they bounce off each other kind of works really well, which is why at one time, the JBP was the best podcast out, even better than Rogan's. That original JBP with Rory Moore, Joe Budden, Parks, Screen Man, all these guys, Ian, whatever in the background, that shit was legendary. Now it's not so much, but back then it was so fucking good. And obviously it's full on the wayside because, Joe Budden's ego and the co-hosts aren't as good as Rory and Moore. And there's just too many voices on there too, for my liking. But why it was good, because of the collective. Now, the issue that I have with him complaining about that Mr. Ford thing is that in the clarification, I think he said something like, oh, don't mention me on my show. My show. I was like, he's still doing that thing. And I wondered to myself, like, how does that happen? Is that like selfishness? Is that narcissism? How does somebody have a successful podcast like that clearly isn't just about you? Yes, the name is yours. Yes, the fucking cover image is just your face. But if you watch the Joe Budden podcast, it's never just about him. There's a panning shot, wide shot of everybody sitting in that little in that really nice apartment in the big white sofas with like 6 or 7 people on the microphone, all laughing, joking, commenting, on like hip hop related black fucking news. Yet he always refers to the JBP as my show, not our show, my show. And I was like, I wonder how that happens. How does somebody get that selfish? How does somebody get that greedy? Like, and he's like, it feels like, anyway, especially with this, oh, don't talk about me thing, it's rich as well, because the JBP is like a male gossip podcast, essentially. That's what they do. They sit there and gossip about other people, which is fine, it's entertaining. But to then say people can't gossip about you, your co-host, is just, it's rather rich, It's definitely like, rules for D and no rules for me, no rules for me, rules for D kind of thing. And I really don't understand why, because surely by now he should have realized that show's success depends largely on the co-host. Yes, he might be the final secret ingredient. The cherry on top is Joe Budden, because he's obviously an amazing kind of entertainer, voice, whatever it may be. But no one's listening to a show just with him alone on it. They want him in combination with other people because he's so wild. He says so many crazy things. He's so nutty, he's so loopy, he's so off the wall that he's kind of good to like bounce off other people. And to be honest, his personality is, he can come across, he can be a lot. So you kind of need to have that bit of a break, you know, in terms of who's speaking and shit. So I don't know, I just saw that and I was like, it's interesting how you do that, because I also remember a time, and this is something that I would be offended by, I'm not sure if they were offended by it, but I remember a time when Rory and Mo were on the JBP, they had a falling out with academics. Now, to be fair, I think they went too far with it, especially Rory, with the whole sending the card thing to Academics' house, turning up to his house in the whip. And, you know, he's going to lie about it until the day he goes, until the day he dies. He's going to take it to his grave, which I understand why. But he definitely did post that fucking postcard or whatever to Academics' house to kind of, you know, vaguely threaten him and shit. Or like send us a thinly veiled threat. But they weren't on good terms. And Joe then ended up doing a show with Academics, right? Everyday Struggle, which was a culturally relevant generational show, that legendary show. Definitely was ahead of its time. But then they became friends. And Joe had no issue with being friends with a guy who was clearly a real op of his co-host. Like, they really didn't like each other. And, you know, Academics went out of his way to always embarrass them. And I would, you know, my theory is, or I'm not sure even my theory, a lot of people would say, Academics might have even played a role in ending Rory's engagement to his previous partner, right? Before he got with his baby mother. Because of all the trolling he did and the fact that Academics exposed that Rory was allegedly cheating on her with this other girl. Loads of messy shit. So it's just rich that Joe could tell somebody, hey, don't talk about me, when he was friends with somebody like Academics, who he knew was the sworn enemy of his other co-host. And just the fact that he speaks about everybody else on his show, you know? I just find that so fucking rich and interesting. And again, just an observation of like, how is this guy still talking about the show as like his show when he refers to it, my show? Don't talk about me or my show. And it's like, wow, he truly does see the JBP as like his show, and those people are like frequent guests. When really it's the Joe Budden podcast, but those people are like co-host. He's obviously the A mic, but they are co-host. Like, there's probably A1, A2, B1, B2. That's how it probably goes in terms of mics in that room. But Joe sees it as like, no, this is my show and you guys are my guest. But you just appear every week, which is a really bizarre way to go about things. And I don't know how comfortable I'd be working in that kind of environment where like someone doesn't really, you know, acknowledge or rate you in any kind of way. It's very, very strange. But hey, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. The other thing I want to talk about, maybe somewhat controversial. I have a real dislike, a real displeasure. Some would say bordering on like hatred for people who ask for money. I've realized that. It's a real trigger for me. And I don't know if it's because I grew up so poor. Like, our family was really poor when I was growing up. Like, we went through it. And there was never anybody with a, you know, that was helping us, which was really heartbreaking, especially because my family, you know, I'm sure like other African families, my parents were super quick to like send, you know, their last £100 to someone in Africa who ended up stealing it, right? They sent it under good premise of like, oh, this person needs this money to buy this land or to set up this business. Then he found out he just stole it and bought clothes, right? So my parents would always do that. They're always so giving, so generous, so warm, so big-hearted people. But we were suffering at home. And I remember there was never anyone to help us. Even though my parents had helped a bunch of people. My dad had helped people with translation when they were coming over, with getting their papers sorted out in terms of immigration and right to fucking leave and right to remain and getting their passports and citizenship. My mum sorted out, my mum would be the refuge for like African aunties in our particular community of Angolan / Congolese people and shit. Whenever a woman was going through some domestic at home, they'd always come to my house and my mum would always be there for them, hugging them, soothing them, keeping them calm, you know, letting them have a place to sleep if they want to kind of, you know, pull away and stuff, you know, whatever, speaking to them, just loads of really nice support. But whenever we were down and bad, whenever we were fucking down and bad and suffering, no one came to our aid as a family. No one, you know. It was always interesting observation of like, fuck, man, You can give people everything. Like, you can literally be like Mother Teresa out here. And then when it's when you're in need, when you need some help, people will spit in your face or spit in your hand. So whenever somebody comes up to me and asks me for money, I'm like, ugh. Like, especially ones who I can see can like help themselves. I don't know why. It just gets on my nerves. It really does get on my nerves. And in my area, there's a particular kind of like homeless beggar person. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if if these people are like, if they suffer from mental health issues. I don't know if they are from a very volatile background. I don't know if they're like, you know how people can sometimes be homeless just based off they're homeless due to like bad circumstances, just a run of bad luck, you know? Like, imagine, I don't know, you move to this country, your parents are from Senegal, but that's the only family you have. Your mum and dad unfortunately pass away, you're 26, you're living at home, now suddenly you can't pay the bills because you never had a job. And then suddenly you get put in a hostel or some sort of, you know, whatever. Then you can't, I don't know, then you run into issues there, you get chucked out, and then suddenly you're homeless, right? It can happen so quickly. So I don't know if that's those type of people, or if it's people just, you know, that are just drug addicts and shit. But there's a particular type of homeless person, beggar in our area, who kind of goes around. They're usually kind of young looking. They usually look decent. They don't look like they sleep outside, to be honest. They're usually wearing branded clothing. The one that spoke to me today was in a North Face and some nice jeans and cool trainers. But they could be wearing Fear of God. They might have denim tears on. And they usually always ask one or two things. It's always, oh, I need some money to print a CV, right? CV, oh, do you have any money to print a CV? Or do you have money to buy some food, right? It's always something like that kind of can, like, you know, it's always something that can kind of get you in that type of regard. Oh, I need CV, I'm trying to help myself, you know, And it's like, oh, really, you know? Or the money or the food thing. So today, someone asked me that, and I didn't have any change. And I said, yeah, I don't have any. And the guy kind of looked at me like, in disappointment, like, you don't have any money, like, kind of looked down on me a little bit because I didn't give him the money. And I just looked at him thinking to myself, this is an interesting type of person that's begging on the street, because it's not your conventional homeless person that, you know, looks a little bit, you know, how they look, and they're sat in one place, they're clearly sleeping on the ground. This is somebody that's sort of like walking around the town and kind of targeting certain people, usually people that look like them. The guy spoke to me today was a black guy. Usually they only target people like me. So then he ended up getting some money from some woman, and like whenever he spoke to a woman, he called them auntie, right? So to kind of, you know, to breed familiarity, to make it seem like, you know, they're the same people, blah blah blah. So this woman ended up giving him some change. But I was wondering, it's a particular breed of ones I'm seeing nowadays, and I'm like, god damn it, I don't know if that's manipulative, or if it's just the situation we're in now, the world we're living in now, the way the economy is, the way society is at the moment. People are legitimately suffering and in pain and needed of help, and they're asking for it. And people are sometimes, you know, offering their help and giving them actual money, which I saw the guy collect from 2 or 3 people in the time that I was walking around and on my back and shit. So maybe that's the case, but like, it's mad, man. My initial reaction when the guy came up to me was like, rah, why are you asking me for money? Like, nobody helped me out. Nobody's ever, like, you know, helped me out or helped my family out when we were suffering. And now here are these people, like, you know, with no shame, with no whatever, with all the entitlement, asking people to help them. And they're getting the help. So I don't know if that's like an analogy for life. Like, as much as I despise the fact that when we grew up, we didn't get a lot of help from our community people, even though my parents helped a lot of the people in the community, maybe there was also a hint of, maybe my parents were like the way I am, and maybe they were just too proud to ask. Maybe they were too proud to ask. No one knew they needed things. They probably just felt like people should assume they needed things, and in the end they didn't get anything. And maybe that whole saying of like, hey, closed mouths don't get fed is true. Maybe you should be out there asking. If you're down bad and you really need the help, as these guys probably do, it's not probably a bad thing to ask for help, because there are people ready to help. Like this lady I saw took out a fucking fresh £5 note and gave it to the guy. I could never see a scenario in my life where I could ever give a person like that a note. You know what I mean? Ever. Just being honest. And the woman gladly gave it to that guy. And, you know, he walked off and went to somebody else, asked for some more money. Like, and she didn't care, you know? People like that don't give a fuck. They don't care if you're going to spend on drugs or whatever. They just want to help you, you know? If you ask for help, they're willing to help. But I just felt that was interesting, how my initial reaction was like somewhat anger. Like, how do you get to do it, but I can't? You know, that kind of like, I don't know. It was a weird feeling. It was a weird feeling. But God bless that guy. God bless that guy. God bless that guy. Next, let's move on. Let's talk about tariffs. Let's talk about tariffs. Let's talk about tariffs. Because Trump is doing the tariffs. So, I don't know nothing about tariffs. I don't know nothing about the economy. I don't know nothing about finances. I don't know nothing about money. I don't know nothing. I'm an idiot, right? I'm an idiot. But I have a feeling, from my limited understanding about tariffs, Trump is trying to do something, which isn't going to work in my personal opinion, but he's trying. And what it feels like he's trying to do is bring back quote unquote jobs to the United States, right? He's trying to bring back manufacturing. He's trying to, whatever, he's trying to restart that whole industry by essentially implementing tariffs so that companies, whatever, are forced to try and make things in the Estados Unidos, right? In the United States. But the problem I think he's going to run into is that when those jobs, if those jobs ever do come back, who's going to work them? Especially if you have this really aggressive immigration policy. You have this really aggressive ICE thing, right? You're trying to kick out all the illegal immigrants, all the quote unquote aliens, whatever they're doing. Who's going to work these quote unquote menial jobs? Because one of the benefits of, you know, the globalization is that you have these countries like China that have these industries, have these factories where people are working for a nominal rate, you know, not the best salary in the world. It's quite, you know, monotonous work, but they're willing to do that because that society is different and the way they treat work is different. I'm just thinking in the Western Hemisphere, especially Europe, especially North America, from my time on the internet, from my time on social media, from my time just speaking to people, I don't know about you guys, but I get the feeling people don't really want to work. I get the feeling people, if they could not work and just sit on their ass every day, they would. Like, they're tired. Whether it's through COVID, whether it's because of the, you know, dog eat dog world, knife fight, you know, existence that is employment, whatever. I don't know what it is, but I feel like people are tired of working. Legitimately tired. They don't want to do it. So they're looking for any excuse, any exit. Whether it's a 5 minutes of fame because they went viral for something they did on the street, whether it's doing sex work like OnlyFans and shit, whether it's trying to make content, like everyone's trying something. Everyone's just trying to escape having to work. I don't really get the feeling people want to work. So if that's the case, and obviously on social media, we get inundated with like these like amazing stories of these streamers and these content creators that are making loads of money and they've got these great houses and cars and bang, So it's making everybody think that everybody can do that, which is not true. It's sort of like, you know, it's sort of like similar to what's happening on OnlyFans. For all the girls that are like, you know, for all the Amorafs of the world, for all of the, whoever else, I can't think of OnlyFans girl in my head, but for all of the Amorafs out there, there's definitely a girl who's like spreading everything, showing everything, filming everything in excessive detail, really great cinematography, great fucking scenes, and she's probably not even getting $100 a month. Actually, big up, what's her name? Big up Mama Certi. Mama Certi, the infamous whatever, you know, personality on UK social media. I saw a video of Mama Certi on Twitter squirting. Like, and that was like a sample of something she's saying on OnlyFans. Like full frontal, no censorship, nothing. I saw a full image of Mama Certi squirting on her bed somewhere on social media. I was like, shit, all right, cool. You know? And she's allegedly got OnlyFans. I think I saw her share a screen grab and it's like, oh yeah, I'm happy I did 130 a month now, dollars, And it's like, whoa, there are people on OnlyFans right now, like showing everything for $100. So it proved to me that people are really trying to get out of working. They don't want to do it. So if you bring back these jobs to America, if you restart the manufacturing jobs, whatever they are, who's going to work these jobs? Because they're not going to be willing to work these jobs for minimum wage or less than minimum wage. They're going to expect like good salaries. And if they expect good salaries, then surely the prices, the salaries will end up getting offset onto the customers because you end up having to raise the prices of the products or service or whatever that you're doing. So I have a feeling it ain't going to work. But I understand why he's trying to do so. But I just have a feeling nowadays, more so than ever, there's probably a strong argument for introducing stuff like universal basic income. Because I don't really think people want to work, man. I think you're better off introducing universal basic income, giving people like a base of like, even if it's $900 a month, which ain't gonna be enough for a lot of people to live on when you include rent and shit. But it also gives people the onus and to pursue part-time employment in something that they actually care about, or something that they're actually good at, whatever. That might be the way to go. And then have the other high flyers go for the jobs they want to go for. Because the people that actually want to work will always work. But I think more and more, as the years go by, more and more people don't want to work like a, you know, like a, what's that thing called? Is it a bullshit job, right? Big up the author, I forgot his name. He passed away recently. He wrote this amazing, you know, book on bullshit jobs. And obviously with the, you know, with the advent and push towards fucking AI and shit, it might be the only way to go forward, because I just don't see the regular American person or the regular person in Europe being okay with working for £10 an hour making iPhone cases. I just don't see it. They're gonna, and I don't even think they get £10 an hour in China. They might even get less than that. But I don't think the regular European person, the regular American person is going to be happy making key rings for like £6 an hour, £4 an hour. They're not going to be happy with it. So something's going to have to give, you know? Something's going to have to give. But I could be wrong. Let's read the article here, courtesy of BBC. It says, Trump's game of chicken over tariffs leaves the world guessing. A day before Donald Trump's reciprocal tariffs are scheduled to kick in, the United States president appears to be locked in a high-stakes game of chicken. Some nations labeled worst offenders are scrambling to make nice with the White House to end the game before it reaches potentially devastating climax. China, in contrast, is playing a different game, one of retaliation. Big up President Xi. Big up I Show Speed. Big up President Xi, not playing games. Meanwhile, Trump has pressed ahead, as even some allies in Congress and Wall Street wonder if he's going too far. On Sunday, when asked what level of market fall he would tolerate before changing course, he snapped that it was a stupid question. So is it all a negotiation tactic, as many investors and political hope, or is he playing a longer game aimed at permanently restructuring the global economy and America's place in it? In this new world, whether a country is an ally or an adversary depends on whether that nation is giving the US a good deal. Jesus. On Monday afternoon, Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, big up Yeezy, is the first world leader to visit the president since the trade announcement. He tried his hand at playing Trump's new game. He pledged that his nation, which has been slotted for tariffs of 70%, would drop its trade barriers and move to eliminate its trade surplus with the US. Jesus Christ, Israel. Okay, we think it is the right thing to do. I think Israel can serve as a model to many countries that ought to do the same. Okay, I guess. I don't think we want to take your lead on other things there. You know, free Palestine. Other nations appear to be pursuing a similar strategy in the hopes of the positive result. Japanese Prime Minister Shirigi Ishiba called Trump on Monday morning, prompting Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to state that the US was beginning to negotiations with the nation to implement the president's vision for the new golden age of global trade, which is the end of globalization, really, which is the irony, right? The new age of global trade is the end of globalization. Who would have guessed it? European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said Europe was ready to negotiate with the US, offering a mutual reduction on tariffs on industrial goods for zero, a proposal that Trump praised during the remarks of the Oval Office. There were no such gestures from China. On Monday morning, America's top economic competitor announced that it was responding to Trump's 34% tariff increase with an additional 34% of its own. That prompted Trump to threaten another 50% on tariffs to US on China if it does not back down. They're going tariff for tariff. Forget machine for machine. China and US are going tariff for tariff. Whoever the last country standing, that's who fucking wins. China has chosen to isolate itself by retaliating and doubling down on previous negative behavior, Bessent told X. Over 50 countries have responded both openly and positively to Donald Trump's historic action to create a fairer, more prosperous system of global trade. China's reaction to the latest Trump move was equally blunt. The quote, We have stressed more than once that pressuring or threatening China is not a right way to engage with us, says Chinese embassy spokesperson Liu Pengyu told CBS. China will firmly safeguard its legitimate rights and interests. China is standing on business. China is standing on business. You love to see it. Such a series of reactions and reprisals from the China and the US appear to be equal what the investors feared last week, as American stock indexes dropped by double-digit percentages. By Monday, a growing number of choruses of business leaders were speaking out against the Trump's tariff plan, including Wall Street financiers, who had been strong public supporters of the administration, trying, it appeared, to get the president back down by force of will alone. It's not going to happen. Oh, they all fucked around and find out, innit? They thought they could control Trump. They thought they could manipulate Trump, influence Trump. But what Trump shows is that Trump's always going to Trump. Trump is always going to Trump. Just when you think you got him figured out, just when you think you got him by the balls, just when you think you've kind of bought and sold him, he's going to pull the okie doke. That's why people like myself and others are fascinated to find out when exactly he's going to fall out with, what's his face? With Leatherface, with Elon Musk. Because we know it's going to happen. We know there's going to come a point where Trump and Elon are going to fall out. We just don't know when exactly that is. Because Trump is always going to look out for Trump. He's always going to look for his own best interest. He's always going to throw you under the bus at first, at the first opportunity. And just when you think you've got him, by the fucking balls, he's going to prove that, no, I am the boss. And sometimes to, the worst possible way, but he's going to do it. It continues. Meanwhile, US markets were poised to jump up at any reason for hope when a social media post on Monday morning indicated that the president was contemplating a 90-day delay on new tariffs, perhaps drawn from the misinterpretation of comments made by Trump economic advisor Kevin Hassett on Fox News. The US stock index soared. The S&P 500 index added 2.5 trillion to the market value of about 10 minutes, only for it to vanish once the White House quickly denied the president was contemplating such a move. It continued. Trump further closed the door on Monday afternoon, saying that he was not looking at any kind of delay. It was still a full speed ahead on the tariffs. The quote, "We are going to have one shot at this," he said. Perhaps the most concerning message for investors and foreign leaders hoping for a last-minute reprieve and an exit ramp for stability came from one of Trump's top trade advisors, Peter Navarro. The quote, "This is not a negotiation. President Trump is willing to listen, but to those world leaders who, after decades of cheating, are suddenly offering to lower tariffs, no, that's just the beginning." Why are they being so combative? Why are they being so confrontational? Why are they being so argumentative about this? Like, why? Why are they making it seem like it's always going to be a fight? Why can't it be some sort of a negotiation? Why can't it be a dance, right? Why does it have to be some, swords at dawn situation, Come on, bro. So if this is about the start of a broader systemic change, what is desired end goal? One theory is that Trump has a plan with several of his top advisors called the Mar-a-Lago Accord. And it's called, is the ultimate goal of compelling America's trade partners to weaken the US dollar on the international currency exchange. Such a move would make American exports affordable to foreign markets and diminish the value of China's large reserves of the US currency. That's a plan pushed by Trump's economic advisor, Stephen Miram, although he has denied that it's the current administration's policy. That's just one of the possible explanations for the current stock market mayhem, and one that many prominent economists warn is risky. It is far from the only one. Ever since Trump shocked the world with a sweeping tariff plan, White House officials have fanned out across the media to preach patience and offer a selection of sometimes contradictory explanations. He is doing it to raise revenue and protect American industries, or as a negotiation tool. The tariffs are permanent, or they are temporary. They will prompt individual deals with other nations or compel some grand multilateral agreement. As Trump pressed on Wednesday tariff cliff, with no signs of backing away, he seems willing to keep the world guessing. So yeah, who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what's going to end up happening? I'm curious to see how it's going to pan out, but I'm just fascinated to see, will this new world, will this post-globalization world, in this new post-globalization world, where these jobs come back to the States, they come back to Europe, will people actually be willing to work these menial, repetitive, somewhat depressing jobs? The jobs that everybody complained about, making iPhones, cases, key rings, you know, rubber fucking gloves. Will people be happy to make them? Because those would be the only jobs that you'll be able to get. Or are we better off living in a society where universal basic income is the way to go forward? I don't really know. Let me read some of your comments here. Apologies for ignoring some of you guys in the stream chat. Big up the stream chappers. I appreciate you. Let's see. Wade Harris says it's going to drive up the wages. I'm in a fairly technical maintenance industry and I have recruiters heating me up all the time. I'm glad no one wants to do my job. Oh, really? That's nice. But it depends on what sector you work in, Wade Harris. You probably work in a sector, you probably have a role, a job that's in demand. People like myself, I've got a lot of experience in marketing, in social media, right? Which are nonsense jobs, right? And let me tell you, it's not good out there. It's tough. Even customer service jobs online are fucking hard to get. Literally near on impossible. There are so little available, and the ones that are available, I feel like bare people with way more experience than I am are getting them, which makes sense, right? Because a lot of those people are getting made redundant, and then they're going and working jobs like a little bit below what their actual experience is just to get the job. So obviously they'll take them ahead of me. But yeah, it's bleak out there. It depends on what role you have and what job you have. Big up Key P. The American product require foreign parts. True. I didn't count that. You're very precise on that one, my friend. Big up Ferilism. Yeah, that'll work because AI is going to cook a lot of jobs. Then receptionist, analyst type jobs are in the wind. That's true, man. Imagine receptionist. That's so true, bro. Even HR, that sort of shit. Good case of Moses. Exactly. American private sector plus good salaries does not compute. Big up case of Moses. Big up Key P. They get way less, but cost of living is way lower. True. Oh yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point in China, right? Because I remember reading. No, I watched a YouTube documentary because I want to go to that city in China really badly. I think it's called Chongping or Chongquang. I forgot the name of it, but it's a building where like it's a city where like all the levels of the buildings are all over the place, and where it looks like it's floor 10, it's actually the ground floor. It's kind of built on the side of a mountain. It looks fucking futuristic and crazy. I really want to go there. And I think I watched a YouTube video where somebody said in like a cool area, a happening area, a popping off area, you could get an apartment there to yourself for like $600. $600. So the cost of living in China must be sweet. But obviously the salaries aren't as good as they are here. The only benefit, I guess, if you lived over there is if you had some sort of like online job, like, you know, I don't know, content creation, whatever it may be, or you had your own business, that might be beneficial. So that you're earning your salary doing whatever you're doing, but then you didn't have to like earn it based on the cap, whatever they have over there. It continues. Big up Young Old Moses. Young Old Moses. Big up Young Old Vibes. The problem is a raggedy apartment with roaches in most cities is 1K a month. No one wants to work hard and be homeless. Oh, that's such a good point. That's such a good point. So I wonder, big up Young Old Vibes. So I wonder if maybe I wonder if maybe the job market will be the way it is just because of like housing. So for instance, maybe universal basic income won't ever get introduced because fundamentally, or maybe people won't even take it up because fundamentally people don't want to live in like cardboard boxes, right? Especially, people just don't want to live in those kind of dilapidated spots, which makes sense. So if that's the case, you're going to have to work some type of job to afford a decent place to live. You're not going to be able to get, or maybe what you could do, universal basic income could be like $1,000, £1,000, which would be a good enough to cover some portion. But then whatever you make on top of it, you'd have to go, whatever you want on top of that, you have to go make it yourself. You'd have to go and get a part-time job or get a job with like, less than full-time hours. Not all the way part-time, but not all the way full-time. That might be a way to kind of mediate that sort of things. Big up Keto Moses. They make literal sense on in markets in China. That's true. Big up on 10 toes. They're reducing the availability of education in hopes that it will be desperate enough to take those jobs. Big up Mr. Mace. UBI can't work, bro. No more disposable money injected into the economy, into the average Joe, just accelerates. Oh, hold on. Let me read that again. Big up Mr. Mace. UBI can't work, bro. More disposable money injected into the economy, into the average Joe, just accelerates inflation and cost of living. More money in circulation equals higher price on everything. Okay. Then how did it work in the past then, Mr. Mace? When everybody seemed to be doing well, like pre-pandemic. How did it work then? Was the cost of living just lower? Like pre-pandemic, things seem to be way more rosy. You know? Like I remember I was sorry. I was working a job where I was getting paid £1,000 a month. And that was like it was like an internship role that I was doing. Maybe my first office job. That was pre-pandemic, maybe that 2015 or something. I don't know. No, maybe before that. I don't know. It was one of my first one of my first office jobs, like, you know, making a jump from retail. And I remember I was getting paid £1,000, right, a month. The job was in like, what was it? The job was in like West London. What is it? I think like White City or something. And I'm living in East. So it took me like an hour to travel there on the train. It cost a lot more money on the Central Line to travel there. So I was paying a lot with the monthly card. And I got £1,000 salary. But my rent at that time was like £600. So I was left with £400 for the month. Now, the monthly oyster was super expensive. It probably took half of my money. So I was left with maybe £200 for the month. But I could stretch that £2,000, £200. I could go out. I could drink, I could eat, I could buy my old trainer here and there, you know? Maybe, obviously, I was also reselling back then too, so that probably helped. But I was able to kind of live off of £400 a month, you know, in like that time. So what happened back then was just the cost of living cheaper. Because I felt like everyone had more money then. Even though it wasn't a lot, I felt like people had more disposable income. Nowadays, people don't really have it. I don't know how that works. Again, I don't know nothing about economy or finances, so please be patient with me. Big up Koze Moses, these might be a bigger proverbial dig, exactly. Big up Don Dotter, there will be enough employed, sorry, big up Don Dotter. There will be enough unemployed customer service majors to fill those jobs soon enough. Holy shit, that's so depressing and true. Big up Michael Roy, we in the Philippines kiss Trump's ass all the way. But he slapped us with a 17 tariff. Like, what the fuck, bro? Yeah. You have to go there and kiss the ring. You have to go there like Benjamin Netanyahu. You have to go there cap in hand. Maybe that might help. Big up federalism. The market shift will be monumental because of the lack of jobs and kicked off in AI. More women will work in bakeries and factories, maybe even textile shops. Men will be hunting oil and metal factories. Yeah, I've noticed, by the way. Have you guys noticed? In my part of London, it's been very obvious to me the increase in, like, for lack of a better term, like young people in McDonald's. Have you guys seen this? Like working behind the tills or working in McDonald's in general. I see less like, because before I felt like it was really young people and older people, but now you see people in the middle, like people that look like they're maybe 21 to 27 working in McDonald's. And those people look like they probably have degrees or they're currently studying. But that's like a job to have now, because the job that they actually want to get, they can't get because it's not available, or it's like, you know, oversubscribed and shit. I've seen it a lot. I've noticed it a lot, especially in places like Madrid. Madrid's a good example because Madrid back in the day, I remember, you know, Spanish people are a little bit, you know, bless my Spanish folk, but they have some, you know, they have some warped ideas when it comes to immigrants and shit. So I remember back in the day, it was like seen as less, you were seen as less than if you worked in like a fast food shop. And the only people that worked in fast food restaurants were like, you know, Hispanic people, Latino people who'd come over to Spain, obviously, to set up their life, right? Puerto Ricans, Colombians, whatever else. But I've noticed in the last few years, if you go to Madrid, if you go to parts of Spain, you see a lot of like, you know, native Spanish kids working in those places now. Even in places like Paris, you won't see a lot of immigrants. You see a lot of immigrants, but you won't see a lot of like quintessential, like, you know, you see a lot of white kids working there, which kind of shows you this shift in the economy, where these kids are having to do these jobs because the jobs that they want for their career, you know, they're not available anymore. Big up Young God Vibes. Yes, the cost of living was cheaper. My house went from 165 to being, oh, wow. Big up Young God Vibes. My house went from 165k to being worth 330k. Oh my God. Okay. Okay, cool. And also interest rates went from 2% to 7%. All right. Fucking hell, man. Well, I guess Trump is trying. Whether this is going to work or not, I don't know. It's probably not likely it's going to work, but I guess he's trying to do something. So let's see how it goes for him. And then I guess we'll kind of take it as it goes, isn't it? But I'm curious to see how it will go. I'm really curious to see how it will go, because so far people are not happy, man. People are not fucking happy so far. That is the truth of it. People are not freaking happy. Okay, moving on. I also wanted to briefly touch upon this video, courtesy of SneakerPhetish. Big up him. Big up SneakerPhetish, aka Kari, who breaks down how the tariffs will affect the sneaker industry. Again, I'm not too clued up when it comes to finances or the economy and shit, but this guy seems to know what he's talking about, and he's also a great follow when it comes to all things sneaker industry related. So big up Kari, big up SneakerPhetish. Check him out on Twitter. This is his video, taking a deeper look at Trump's tariffs and the effect it will have on the sneaker industry. Let's go, Kari.
If you've been hearing the word tariff lately and don't really know what's going on, but are afraid that your Jordan 1s are about to cost $300 retail price, you've come to the right video. So first of all, what exactly is a tariff? It's nothing more than a duty or a tax. It's just extra money that gets added on to any good that we may purchase from another country or another country purchases from us. If you're a country like the United States that buys a lot more from other countries than you sell to other countries, that creates what's known as a trade deficit. Now, a few years ago, tariffs were raised over in China, between China and the United States, which shifted a lot of footwear and apparel companies to move a lot of their manufacturing operations to other countries such as Vietnam. You may not have realized this, but Nike was one of the largest companies who did this, and today over half of Nike's manufacturing of their footwear alone is in Vietnam, not in China. According to the administration, in order to do things like bringing manufacturing jobs back to American soil, in what was known as Liberation Day, President Trump announced retaliatory tariffs against other countries that impose tariffs on the United States, which are around half the amount that, according to President Trump, we are getting taxed on goods. For instance, according to President Trump, we get taxed at around 90% for goods imported from Vietnam. Therefore, in retaliation, we are taxing around 46% back to Vietnam for goods that we provide to them, which is interesting math to say the least, because according to Reuters, the actual tariff on footwear from Vietnam to the United States is somewhere around 13 to 14%. So not quite mathing for me, but that's just me. Now, in addition to these targeted tariffs, Trump is also proposing a flat 10% tariff across everybody pretty much around the world. That also includes tariffs that are going to be imposed in parts of the world where people don't even inhabit, just animals, which is a choice. Naturally, this has sparked a lot of controversy and worry and panic, not just at the consumer level, but on Wall Street as well. You're seeing stocks drop left and right, as if Nike wasn't already getting beat down enough by Wall Street. They're actually down even more on the news of these tariffs. To date, I believe Nike is somewhere around 65 to 67% down on their stock from their peak in 2021, which is wild. Media outlets like Nice Kicks and Footwear News have already laid out what this could potentially look like if these tariffs do go into place. They're not quite in place yet. I'm going to stick a pin in that and get to that in a second, but places like Footwear News have reported that the prices of Nike Air Force Ones could go as high as $129. The Jordan 1s could go as high as $202, up from the $180 price point they currently.
Hey yo, big up Izanella. Japan to Vietnam, neighbors. Oh, AZ. Like the UK and Turkey are neighbors? Brother, you know what I mean. You know what I fucking mean. It's in like the Southeast Asia region. Like, come on. I don't mean like it's literally like the next door, but they're technically neighbors. They're in the same fucking... They're closer to each other than the fucking UK is to fucking Japan, aren't they? Like, what? He's trying to make out as if I'm like one of those American girls on the beach where they ask them, hey, what's the capital of Paris? You know, like, I'm not one of those people, please. Don't do that, man. Don't do that to me. The UK and Turkey are neighbors. Fair point. Touche, right? Touche. But you get what I was generally trying to say. Come on.
We are. Now, I understand that makes a lot of people really concerned, but I want to try to soften this blow as much as I can. I don't really think that these tariffs and the price hikes are actually going to happen. Here's why. First of all, keeping these tariffs in place and kicking off a global trade war would not only be devastating across the entire world for all economies, but it would also be a really nasty mark for a president who's claiming that he wants to come back for a third term. Those of you who voted for Trump, I can't really see you voting for him a third term in the event something like this happens and it continues and all of the prices of all of your sneakers go up tremendously.
That's a good point, isn't it? That's a really good point. But I don't know, but Trump people are like, maybe now I've seen a lot of Trump people backtracking because it's hurting their pockets, but a lot of Trump people make excuses for even the dumbest things he does. So even if it works to kind of hurt them, like, there's that guy going viral now at the moment who's basically telling people, oh, losing money isn't that big of a deal. Losing money is temporary. Who gives a fuck or something like that? He's trying to cope, right? And make, and try to kind of soothe himself from his fucking stock portfolio going down. But I think for whatever reason, maybe it's because of the tribal nature of politics, because to be fair, people that love Biden also do that. But I think people who are staunch Trumpers and MAGA people, they're probably going to make excuses and be okay with the tariffs going up, even if it means it's, negatively impacting them and their pocket. And if Trump did want to go for a third term, they'd vote for him anyway, It wouldn't really impact them. I don't know. I have a feeling it wouldn't really have the impact people think it would. Whenever you think you got it sussed out when it comes to politics nowadays, you should always question your beliefs. Always question your beliefs, because whenever you think you have it sussed out and you can kind of predict how people are going to act and behave, they always do the opposite nowadays. They always do the opposite because of the tribal nature of politics and the way everything is so, argumentative and whatever else it is. People tend to do things and say things just to piss off the other side. Not because they even believe in them, Not because they even have any conviction behind it. Just because you're trying to tell them what to do, they're like, okay, cool. You're not going to tell me what to do. I'm going to do the opposite just to spite you, So that could be the case. But I could be wrong.
We'll see it happen. However, one thing we do know is that President Trump and the United States likes to negotiate on things like this. And sometimes putting a little pressure on things can kick off negotiations, and that tactic is already working. Vietnam's trade ministry has already announced that they are willing to negotiate to try to lower these tariffs and get rid of these retaliatory tariffs with the United States. They've even gone so far as to offer peace offerings, which is lowering tariffs in other areas and allowing Starlink internet service to enter into Vietnam for the first time.
Wow.
Plan, and up to 600,000 users allowed. So they're not only being nice to Trump, they're also being nice to Elon. Even today, as I'm recording this, China just announced an additional 34% retaliatory tariff on their own on the United States. However, that doesn't go into effect for a few more days. And they've also made a statement that they would like to handle this through negotiations and through some rational conversations amongst one another. They don't really want to do this if they don't have to. However, if their hand is forced, they're prepared to go through with it. Also, we have to keep in mind that even if these tariffs were to go into effect, it would go into effect for product that is not yet in the States. Remember, Nike works on around an 18-month lead time when it comes to product design, development, manufacturing, and import into the country. So I wouldn't really worry too much about what's sitting on Nike right now automatically jumping up in price. I would worry if this is still happening 6 to 12 to 18 months from now. And if that happens, what the price hikes of those future products may look like that are coming in. But yet again, I don't personally see that happening because it looks like a lot of these countries are already ready to deal. So I wouldn't panic too much if I were you guys, and I certainly wouldn't panic as much as Wall Street seems to be doing so. Again, I'm making a very broad overview. I know that micro and macroeconomics are a very large subject, and we could be here talking about this all day long. But in the meantime, I would like to know what you guys think about Trump's tariffs.
Yeah, he's right, man. He's bang on. He's bang on. Maybe the hysteria is a little bit overcooked, but I also think a lot of people that are speaking, who are panicking, are also experts themselves, who have a lot of skin in the game, They have a lot of skin in the game. So if they're panicking, if they're really worried, if they're sounding the alarm, there's probably a reason for it, And America just had an issue recently with the fucking prices of eggs going up. So life is just going up. The cost of living just keeps going upwards. And then Trump is implementing these tariffs. You're just like, God damn it. You can't catch a break, innit? You can't catch a break. So probably somewhere in the middle. But either way, really good observation, analysis, overview when it comes to what's going on and how it's affecting the sneaker industry. So I recommend you check out Kari. Follow him. It's all one word, SneakerPhetish. I'll put his link to his profile in the description so you can check it out. Big up SneakerPhetish. Big up Blood Clot Sneaker Fetish. Talking about the economy and talking about tariffs, look at who looks all meek. Look at who looks all meek and reserved and chill and humble and rational and is talking with some level of calmness. Look at who is all meek and calm now. Yeah, it's Elon. This is a quote. This is a video courtesy of Reddit. Elon Musk, after losing billions in days, tries to humanize and soften his tone. This is funny, man. He's completely did an about turn when it comes to his public perception, how he's, been putting himself out there. All of the bravado, all of the fucking, whatever he was doing, all the antagonizing has somewhat dissipated. And now he's trying to sound like a victim. First of all, with the Tesla protest, we're just a car company. Tesla hasn't hurt anybody. And now he's trying to fucking play the violin for himself so people can feel sorry for the richest man in the world. Fucking incredible.
And I'm hopeful, for example, with the tariffs, that at the end of the day, I hope it is agreed that both Europe and the United States should move, ideally, in my view, to a zero tariff situation, effectively creating a free trade zone between Europe and North America. That would be that's what I hope occurs. And also more freedom of people to move between Europe and North America, if they wish. If they wish to work in Europe or wish to work in America, they should be allowed to do so, in my view. So that has certainly been my advice to the president.
Perfetto, lo raccogliamo con...
He's on some, why can't we just all get along, you know? Now all of a sudden, Elon is on some, why can't we all just get along type shit, huh? Before, when he was antagonizing people, causing division, aligning himself with the far right, just being a complete cunt. Now all of a sudden he's, why can't we all just get along, eh? Why can't we all just get along? What an absolute ignoramus. Looking through some of the comments on Reddit, this is like a living version of a deleted comment. Exactly. Where is your chainsaw of destruction, Space Karen? I mean, we neutered him in the pocketbook. Literally, only his money has ever made him a person of any interest to conservatives. That was taken away, and he's just some crackpot racist no one wants anything to do with. The second his spending dries up, the GOP will kick him to the curb. There are a bunch of vampires that radicalized him into joining forces, and he thought he could change them. LOL. Jesus Christ. They're really kicking the boot in here. Maybe he should try some awkward jumping jacks or swing a chainsaw. Oligarch these nuts. Oligargle these nuts. I like that. Oligargle these nuts. Doesn't everyone realize the best way to create strong alliances is to attack those you want to work with? Yeah, bars. I love it. He's trying to save his image in Europe, here in Italy specifically. What a lying piece of garbage. Jesus, yeah. I wonder, by the way, who got through to him. Because to me it's pretty clear somebody pulled him to a side. Somebody pulled Elon to one side and gave him a talking to. I wonder who people like that have. Like, who is that person? For somebody as rich and powerful as Elon, who has probably a lot of sycophants and bootlickers and art lickers around him, I wonder who plays that role of giving him the hard truths, being blunt, really telling him when he's doing too much. I wonder who that person is. Because he seems to listen. Because now he's completely changed. This is not the same guy that was like, you know, aligning himself with the fucking AFD and talking all rah-rah and talking about, you know, fucking immigration on the timeline and questioning why America wasn't more white and shit, doing all this dog whistle racist shit. He's completely backed away from it. There were calls for him to step down at Tesla, and he's completely like, he's got scared. He doesn't want to lose his company. He doesn't want to lose his wealth. Doesn't want to lose his influence. So he's completely toned down the rhetoric. Toned it down completely. You know, he's took off the fucking mag. He's not wearing the MAGA hat as often. I wonder who spoke to him. I wonder who plays that role, because it's an important role to be that person that can tell someone like Elon, hey, you're doing too much, bro. Chill out, relax. And he listens as well. So I guess it's a good thing, but it's a little bit too little too late for some people, because he's permanently, and this happens a lot with politics, I think. When you step out there and you say something in politics, it can have negative impact in your reputation, and essentially, you know, it can leave a stain on you forever that you can never ever wipe away. I think a good example of that nowadays is Casey Neistat. I watched a documentary about Casey Neistat on YouTube recently, essentially kind of, you know, calling out his support for Israel and whatever else it may be. And essentially, having watched the video, I'm not going to lie, as strong as feelings as I have about the Israel-Palestine conflict, and as much as I want to scream free Palestine at every given occasion, Casey Neistat didn't really say nothing too bad, you know? Essentially, he's Israeli, so he's essentially just trying to, in his own way, stand up for his people, stand up for his country. I don't think he's bordering on Zionism, personally, for me. I just think he's trying to, you know, add some balance to the conversation. Unfortunately, he's a YouTuber, so nobody wants to fucking hear his opinion on anything. But the moment he did that is the moment he negatively and forever ruin his reputation. And now no one's ever going to look at Casey Neistat the same way, you know? They're never going to look at him the same way. That's one of the harmful, negative things about stepping into the political field. Yes, it's a bit grifty. Like, the political fielding, when it comes to content, is very grifty, and it's laden with opportunity. Like, there's a lot of opportunity to make a lot of money, to become really famous. But if you do step into it, you could potentially alienate your entire fan base because you don't have the right opinion, or because you wrongly assume that your fans, your viewers have this opinion and they'll back you, or you wrongly assume that nuance exists on the internet, which it doesn't, right? Everything is binary on the internet. Everything is this or that. So he's probably, you know, hurting from that in a big way. And I don't even think what Casey Neistat have said over the years has been as hurtful or divisive as what Elon Musk has done. Elon Musk has clearly gone out of his way to be a bit of a piece of shit, to rile people up, to be a bit of a edgelord, right? In terms of that way. And it's negatively impacting his businesses, negatively impacting his own wealth. And now he's suddenly starting to, like, you know, realize and pull away from it. But for other people, especially in Europe, I think it's too little too late. Too little too late. Especially what he done in that German fucking election, when he aligned himself with that far-right party. I think there are people in Germany who don't see well with that sort of stuff. The fucking how Hitler salutes and shit. People don't see well to that stuff. So no matter how much he tries to soften his tone and speak with some level of, like, you know, calmness and clarity and patience, and people are not going to forget that shit. So it's basically over for Elon. Obviously, it doesn't really matter because he's the richest person in the world. But when it comes to him being perceived in a positive way, it's over. You know, he rescued 2 people. SpaceX, his company, rescued 2 astronauts that were literally, you know, abandoned in space because whatever Boeing jet that they kind of flew with out there failed and it couldn't bring them back to Earth. So SpaceX helped to rescue those people. Without SpaceX, those people would have been stranded there for a long time. No one really batted an eyelid. No one praised him for it. Everyone kind of moved on very, very quickly. And most of it is because of his negative public perception, you know, which is, I don't think, ever going to come back. But again, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Talking about wrong things. Oh my God. Chase West versus John Summit. The biggest beef to ever hit the DJ circuit in the history of DJing, the history of dance music, the history of electronic music, the history of EDM, the history of house, the history of atmospheric house, the history of tech house, the history of business techno. Big up business techno. It got fucking dicey and spicy on the timeline. Now, most of you don't give a fuck. You don't pay attention to this sort of stuff. But because I'm a amateur hobby DJ, I pay attention to this sort of stuff. So I saw on the timeline someone say, oh, the DJs are fighting. So I went around and then I saw, oh shit, it's Chase West and John Summit. Now, I'm not too familiar with Chase West. I'm not going to lie. I see him on my timeline all the time, primarily because he's playing at Space Miami. But I'm not too familiar with his productions or his DJing style. But I do see that he gets out there. People seem to love him. And he plays like all the time. I feel like at Space Miami. I feel like he's a resident there. John Summit, I've heard his music. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I think it basically sucks in my personal opinion. But I do like John Summit for his personality. I love how self-aware he is. I've listened to a couple of interviews from John Summit, and I love the fact that he's aware of how he comes across on the internet. He's very aware of it, and he just kind of does his thing, you know? And I think having a little bit of self-awareness, being able to laugh at yourself is so rare, especially with DJs. For whatever reason, they have outsized egos, take themselves way too seriously, right? But people like John Summit, people like Chase West, they kind of like soften it up, make it a bit playful. And essentially they kind of, you know, they relate to you. You kind of feel like these are someone's that you probably would have known if you were out and about on the club circuit yourself, right? So there's a level of familiarity and chillness when it comes to this type of dudes. For some reason, they're arguing, they're beefing. The reason for it is maybe self-explanatory, but I took some screenshots of the tweets. Here's how it started. So Chase West decided to post a screenshot from his Instagram comments, and it looks like John Summit left the Instagram comment that says, "Thought Mr. Bagman wasn't about drugs. Clean up your act," which is a pretty crazy thing to leave on somebody's fucking Instagram, right? I think even your friends wouldn't do that. I think if even your friends saw you getting white girl wasted, getting fucking brat summer every day on the fucking timeline, I think even your friends would DM you directly. I don't think they'd go straight to the comments and blow up your spot. Oh my God, what's wrong? You're doing too much. You're out again. Is that another baggie? Hey, chill. I don't think they'll do that. I think they'd give you the decency to kind of hit you up in the DMs and see if you're okay. But John Summit kind of, blew up fucking Chase West's spot and said, yo, Mr. Bagman, I thought you went about drugs. Clean up your act, which is pretty crazy. So this is how the beef started, right? So that's the first thing that happened. And then I think the reply, if I'm not mistaken, the reply was this. That kind of gave you an insight to what's going on from this person called Maya Grace. She replied to that comment and said, bro literally got 86 from space and got sober for a week and doesn't know how to act. Anyway, stream dope. So I had to Google what 86 means, but 86 essentially is a thing in clubs and bars and, I guess entertainment venues where you get barred essentially. If you do too much, drink too much, you get barred and it's called being 86th. I'm assuming it has to do with some sort of rule, whatever. I don't really know, but it's basically being banned. So this rumor, this person started allegedly, let's put it allegedly there. We want to be safe. Don't want John Summit's, beast lawyers coming after me. Is that John Summit recently got sober because of an embarrassing moment in the clubs, which I think we've all had. I know I've had them. We've all had those moments in the club where you've done too much, you did too much, you were on too much, and you either got chucked out or you left in a very embarrassing way. Yeah. Via your own accord or thrown out of the club, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air style. So those moments are usually the moments where you're coming back home and you're telling yourself, no, I'm never doing it again. Never getting on it. And you do one day of like juicing, running, reading a book, not being on your phone. And suddenly you want to start preaching to the world. You want to start fucking lecturing, right? You want to start wagging your finger. I don't know why it is with people that go out, but I've noticed it with a lot of people. It's a typical thing that happens. You have one good week, sometimes even 3 days, right? And suddenly you start posting all these positive memes and motivational quotes and shit. Live, laugh, love all over the place, right? You start posting pictures of David Goggins and his motivational fucking things. Yeah, carry the bolts, Get up, motherfucker, all this type of shit when you've only not been on it for 3 days. And it can really be insulting to the people that know you, that have been out with you. Because like, bro, I was just railing like finger size fucking slugs off of a table with you. And now here you are preaching and trying to act like you know more. And you're better than us on this malarkey. Like, relax, simmer down, brother, simmer down. So I can get why that can be annoying. So allegedly that's what John Summit did, which is the reason why he said what he said to Chase West. Well, it continues, right? I'm trying to make sure that I got these in numbered order. So that continued. And then I guess John Summit saw the post and decided to reply to Chase West directly under Twitter. And he said, someone can't handle the spotlight. It shows. Stay humble, folks. Wow. That's a big accusation to throw out there, right? Someone can't handle the spotlight and it shows. Stay humble, folks. Then another person replied to him called Leighton Giordani and said, respect does go a long way in the industry. And he said, facts. So what they're trying to suggest is that Chase West is not a respectful person. He's somehow a rude person. He somehow allowed his fame and his notoriety get to his head, and now he's walking around with baggies leaking and dropping all out of his fucking pockets with a fucking row of baddies and and boys and other people lining up behind him, following him everywhere like a Pied Piper as he fucking traverses through a club and heads to the green room somewhere to do slug size rails of whatever off of somebody's back and boobs and ass and crack and shit. So he's calling him out. Really calling him out, which was a little bit excessive, I thought. Then somebody says in the replies, who is Chase West? John Summit replies and says, good question. Then somebody says to John Summit, my life is a bender, right? Quote unquote. And posts a picture of him with a champagne bottle wearing a bucket hat in the shower, it looks like, right? It looks like John Summit is sat in the shower with a bottle of Henny on his lap, a bucket hat on, tie-dye t-shirt, and a bottle of champagne in the air, having a great time. And he posts a reply and says, was a great post-COVID era, no regrets, was meant to be fun and positive, not destructive and hateful. So he's trying to say that Chase West is destructive and hateful. I was having fun. So basically John Summit's like, hey, I'm a different type of girl, you know? I'm a different type of girl. My fun is not the same as your fun. I can go out there and get on it and get fucking crazy, but the way you do it, it's not cool. It's not nice, you know? It's not demure. It's not stylish. It's just not wavy. It's a bit all over the place. It's a bit messy, which is, you know, it's a bit funny because I think, by and large, I don't think I've met a single person. I don't think I've met a single person who gets on it and doesn't look a little bit crazy. We all look crazy. I think we all think we look like the club scene in Honora, right? I think when we go out and have fun, I think we all think we look like the club scene in Honora when she meets that guy for the first time, right? The Russian kid. But actually, what we look like is Kate Moss at Paris Fashion Week on the run, watching Paris Fashion Week or London Fashion Week at a Burberry show. We actually look like Kate Moss. We're twitching, we're jaws are swinging, we're looking nitty as fuck. But we think we look like Honora, but we don't. So this idea that you do it better, you do it better, that person does it worse. No, there is no such thing as the only way you can do it better is if you're sober. If you go out sober, you're doing it better because you're gonna look the same that you did when you left the house. Then when you come back home, you might just look a bit disheveled and sweaty, but you won't have this like nitty, ratty look to yourself. You know, that's just the be all and end all of it. There is no fucking hierarchy. The only hierarchy exists is if you're sober. If you're on it, it doesn't matter if you did 1 line, 10 grams, 5 grams. It's all the same. Cool. Let's continue. Another one says here. This person says to John Summit, bro, everyone knows you're the biggest dork in the industry. We all remember when you had a meltdown because all your fans just stare at you during your sets. By the way, I think that's a reason to be a meltdown. I think John Summit has every reason to crash out on these fans if they just stand there and look at him. Because I don't even know how you get this type of fans. I have to be honest. I don't know how you develop or cultivate a fan base that just stands there and looks at you. Because I remember watching a video of like those kind of music DJs. I recently watched videos of Innovision guys at the Innovision 30th anniversary in Barcelona. There's a few DJs out there who for some reason have cultivated fans who go and watch them DJ and they just stand there and they hold a phone in front of their faces and it's literally they're looking at the DJ set or enjoying it through their phone. I don't even know where those fans come from. I guess those are just the normie fans. Once you become really famous, that's the fans that you get. It's just it's a byproduct of it. But I think DJs are more than within their right to be upset about that because that's not what you get in it for. Yes, you get in it for the money, for the fame, for the women and the drugs and the traveling and the lifestyle. But ultimately you get into it for the music. You get into it because you fucking love and enjoy making people sway from left to right. You love manipulating the fucking dance floor. You love fucking adding something to the experience. You love an ability to provide people with a sense of escapism, right? You love the music. You love it. And you want to see people enjoy themselves. There's nothing better than when you're DJing and you see somebody really fucking enjoying a blend, really loving a tune, recognizing the bass line of a song that's about to come in. Like, it's fucking brilliant. So then when you get to a level where suddenly everyone's just standing there looking at you through your smartphone, I think you're allowed to be pissed off because that's weird behavior. I don't know where those people come from and why they do that. I'd love to interview someone like that and say, hey, why do you just like go to a rave to watch your favorite DJ and you just stand there and record the whole set on your phone? And you're likely never going to watch that back again. Why do you do that? You know? But anyway, John Summit replied to that dork comment and said, this dork just headline Ultra, so I think I'm doing okay. Again, I don't think that's the right reply. That's almost like, hey, I have more money than you. When you start mentioning accomplishments and money you lost, I think you should just address it and say, yeah, of course I crashed out. Of course I had a meltdown. Like no one enjoys a row of people watching you like a fucking circus animal, you know? Or like a zoo animal, sorry. You want people to be enjoying themselves. You want people just standing there staring at you in the eyeball. It continues. Another person here says to John Summit, I've watched so many artists and people in general with incredible potential fed into the oblivion because they thought their shit didn't stink before they even reached the bathroom. Oh, their shit didn't stick. I don't think that's fair. I think you're allowed a phase when you become a famous DJ, a famous artist, a famous in every creative field, with the amount of people who are gassing you up, licking your ass, I think you're permitted a phase to be a bit of a diva, to be a bit of a cunt, you know, to be a bit of an asshole. You're allowed that phase. It's nice when you don't have one, right? It's nice when you just come into the game and you're cool and you're chill and you're laid back and level-headed and approachable and you don't have a big ego. It's great for the fans, but I think overall it's not realistic to expect people not to kind of buy into their own shit when people around them are telling them that they are the shit, right? And that they're special and shit, especially when it comes to you late in life, right? When you're just a regular person and you suddenly become famous in your 30s, in your 40s and shit, late 20s, I can understand why you turn into an arsehole. I think you're allowed to do so. So I think that's a bit harsh, personally. And usually, along the way, the person usually fixes up, you know? They usually realize that, hey, this is not the right way to act and to deal with things. And if I want a long career in this industry, I have to be somewhat approachable and chill and cool and nice to deal with. You know, usually the assholes don't stick around forever. You have to be able to moderate your behavior and how you treat people. You have to do it. You have to be a little bit more accommodating, a little bit personable, a little bit open, a little bit more chill. You have to lower your guard a little bit. So I think in the end, if Chase West is the way this guy's describing, or the way that this guy, John Summit, is insinuating, I think eventually he will get there as being a good person. Another person quoted and said, I played nearly an hour past his set time at 5:30 a.m. and still took time to take pictures after the lights come on. Yup, classic ego dick behavior. So this is somebody standing up for Chase West, which I think is brilliant, by the way. I think if you're involved in some sort of public spat with somebody and you're a celebrity, especially if you're a DJ, and that person's calling you out for being big-headed and for having an ego and being a narcissist or whatever else it may be, your fans stepping in and saying, nah, this is my guy. This is my guy. He's cool. That says a lot, you know. I'd be so happy if that was me. You'd be so happy and proud that, okay, cool, I'm a good person because my fans are literally coming out and fighting this fight for me. So big up that person. And then Chase West decided to quote tweet what John Summit said about, heard multiple stories, you acting like an ego dick, people in the industry, clean up that before it's too late. And he quoted it and said, coming from you, and did laughing, crying emojis, numerous. Because I'm assuming the insinuation here is that John Summit is the one with the big ego. Now, I don't mind John Summit's ego. I'm not going to mind. I didn't like John Summit's ego when I didn't hear him speak. When I didn't kind of do a deep dive and watch a couple of interviews and whatever else it may be and read some things he had to say. Then I realized, okay, cool. He knows how he comes across. He knows what he looks like face-wise because he's got, you know, it's not his fault. He's got a very punchable face. Although he looks like he can handle himself. He does have a very, like, you know, punchable face. But I think he's aware of that. And, you know, doesn't shy away from it, speaks his mind, but is also able to laugh at himself. And I think that's brilliant. That's a very rare trait. So, yes, I believe that John Summit probably does have an ego, but do I believe that prevents him from calling out other people? Probably not. The only thing I don't like is he probably had his moment where he had an ego and acted like an asshole. Then that moment passed and went away because he kind of developed and matured. So I think if Chase West is having that moment, let him have his moment. You know, it's not that big of a deal. Let him have his moment. People replied and said, yeah, like the way I just laughed out loud. Another one said, he been acting different ever since he started dropping that dubstep crap into his sets. That's hilarious. People thinking dubstep is like some highfalutin thing that makes DJs act a bit more uppity is hilarious, by the way. Because dubstep in this country is like, it's not really associated with uppity people. It's associated with like people from the hood, people from ends. I feel like dubstep isn't really a highfalutin thing. So it's funny that in North America, people associate dubstep with people that have like, you know, uppity attitudes. If anything, dubstep is associated with people in here who are like really aggressive and angry, you know, and have a short fuse. Another one says here, facts. I've been there multiple times myself about the bad attitude during my come up. I came from a place of insecurity and imposter syndrome. Funny looking back at it. Because somebody said ego's what ruins the world, right? And John Summit tweeted and said, facts. I've been there multiple times myself during my come up. I came from a place of insecurity and imposter syndrome. Funny looking back at it now. Chase West brought the drama and said, hey, I'm right here. Replied and said, So why tweet like you're better than us for having our fun and dumb era you once had in your when you were 27? When I'm in my 30s, which is a diss by the way, like you are now, I also hope to be sober and enlightened, but also to have the same ignorant, fun, stupid era you had. Love you always. Which I think is a great reply. And that's what I said essentially. It's like, John Summit is sort of like bemoaning Chase West for having his ego and being up his own ass. But John Summit also had a period in time when he was doing the same thing. So just let the kids rock, man. Let the kids do their thing. It's not that big of a deal. Let him do his thing. Let him have his diva moment. And eventually he will figure it out. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But to chastise somebody because you have decided to go down a path of fixing yourself, getting sober, you know, living whatever life you're living, that's a bit unfair. You know, that's a bit unfair. And then John Summit replied to that and said, this has nothing to do with partying, which makes no sense because it sounds like it does. And you're also replying and saying, co-signing posts that you know, give off the impression that it does as well. So if it does have to do nothing with partying, you should probably clarify it. But is he going to clarify it? Probably not. And then Chase West decided to say this as I guess a subtweet, a sneak diss. He said the following: don't ever say space resident with bad connotation. I'm not one, but the ones who are some of the best and most versatile DJs in the world, who've held down Miami clubs and across the country for he's writing, his grammar is all over the place. Don't ever say quote unquote space resident with bad connotations. I am not the one, I think he meant to say, but the ones who are some of the best and most versatile DJs in the world, who have held down Miami and clubs across the country and world for decades. Put some respect on their names. Stay rebel. So I guess he's reminding people that he's not just a space resident, he's more than that, and he's a really good DJ, which I'm assuming has something to do with the back and forth head with John Summit. And then John Summit quoted again another subtweet. He says, I'm not against partying or using drugs and alcohol. Who the fuck am I to judge for that? LOL. I just can't stand the negativity and toxicity on this app lately, and some people need the reality check. It's hilarious. Bro, you're the one that's toxic too. You started the negativity and toxicity because you left a very toxic and mean comment underneath his post on Instagram, unprovoked. You know what I mean? I hate the toxic negativity. Bro, it's you. You're the one that started it. I love John Summit, but that's some grade A prime Wagyu hypocrisy there. That is some top tier hypocrisy right there. But I love him. I love John Summit. Another person talks about the space resident quote. Who the fuck said space resident was a bad connotation? Chase West replied and said, people in my DMs try to diss, saying you're just a space resident, as if it's a bad thing. That would be an honor, not a weird tweet, IMO. Wouldn't be here without MS Madder, and I'm not versatile enough yet to be a resident. Couldn't do what Danilio does, or it's Thunder Pony. Saloon changed the trajectory of my career. Nothing but love for the crew. So thankful for the music they've shown me. For Mada listening and playing my demos. For all of them putting me on their parties. Just nodding the cap to some of the favorite DJs. And shutting down the narrative that a couple of ignorant people DM me. Okay, fair enough. I don't really know much about Space Miami scene and what's going on there. But it is quite nice to follow it on social. Because there's people in Miami who treat Space Miami like I treat Fold and Berghain, you know. It's pretty cool. Like, they go there every weekend. There's a couple of girls I follow who are essentially like, I don't even think they work there. They're kind of like Space Miami influencers. It's really interesting to see how different clubbing is in North America compared to Europe. Like, these two girls I follow are like, they're kind of like unofficial ambassadors for Space Miami. And they're always going out and enjoying themselves. Sometimes they give wristbands to other cute girls to join them in the bar. But they're always on a dance floor. That's what I love about them. They're not always in a booth. They're most of the time always on a dance floor, sharing videos of themselves, singing along to tunes, skanking, having a good time and shit, wearing their fucking, you know, cool outfits. It's a pretty interesting scene, how it all kind of works. I kind of love it. I'm not going to lie. It's very, very different from Europe, but I kind of like it. But yeah, that's the beef that happened between John Summit and Blood Clot, Chase West. It all started because of this innocent, I won't say innocent comment, but a pretty, you know, random comment from John Summit underneath one of Chase West's Instagram posts. And now I think they've kissed and made up, I think, silently. But it's quite entertaining, I'm not going to lie. I quite like watching DJs fight each other on the timeline. I much prefer DJs fighting on the timeline than DJs trying to give people life lessons, you know? Or trying to mend society, trying to opine on politics, or, you know, the economy, education, whatever else it may be. Like, if they just stick to what they stick to, then I'm good with it. But they don't, so I always have a problem. I always have a problem. Talking about DJs, talking about clubs. Guess what? Berghain have just released the May program for 2025, and we're gonna go through it right now. Berghain have just released the May program, and we're gonna go through it right freaking now. So, as you can see from the first day in May, which is the 1st of May on the Thursday, which is fucking brilliant, the garden is open. The garden, aka the garden, is finally open. So sick, bro. So sick. Unfortunately, I'm gonna miss it because I'm there on the weekend of the 25th of April. So I'm gonna miss the garden opening because it's gonna be the when I come back, basically. But wow, I can't wait to specifically go over there and party on the Thursday and see what the garden is, because that garden vibe is pretty decent. I've been out there to have a quote unquote smoke. You know, hashtag only smoke when I'm drinking. And it was a good little vibe there, but I haven't been there when there's been an actual rave. So I'm curious to see what that's like. I don't even think I've even seen the DJ booth. I don't think so. I've been out there sitting down. I might have been a little bit loopy and off my head, but I don't really know where even the DJ bar or the DJ booth is in the garden, but I'm curious to see what's going on. So the first day in May is actually pretty decent. Not even pretty decent. It's fucking bananas. Garden opening in Berghain features Arm, Bashka, Boris, Berghain Legend, and Ogazon. That's a really fun vibe. Loads of house, loads of cute tunes. If you want to get a bit dark and a bit, you know, guttural, Bashka's going to give you it. But when it comes to between Arm, Boris, and Ogazon, people are going to be having their hands in the air, singing along to fucking great house tunes all night fucking long. That seems like a vibe. And look at that. It starts at 12 in the afternoon. That's pretty sick. But honestly, Berlin is like, not to be offensive or anything, and hopefully my Berliners out there won't take offense to this, but Berlin is kind of jobless, isn't it? Berlin is kind of jobless. A party that starts on Thursday at 12 p.m. in the afternoon. What the fuck are people doing? Like, is that a bank holiday? Hold on. Maybe it's a bank. If it's a bank holiday, fair enough. But there's a Thursday at 12 p.m. Okay, there's no public holidays here. Let me check it on there. German public holidays 2025. Is that a public holiday on the 1st? No, there isn't. May Day is on the 29th. So there's no holiday on the 1st of May, yet they have a party that starts at 12 on the Thursday. Who the fuck is going to that? You have to be either like an entrepreneur, on the dole, an artist or something, to be going to a rave at Berghain Thursday at 12. I guess technically you could go there on your lunch break, right? That might be beneficial. But God almighty, Berlin is so jobless. I love it. I love how jobless it is. It's definitely the place to go and, you know, indulge yourself and have a good time. It's definitely an adult playground, isn't it? Big up Berghain. So garden opening features Arm, Bashka, Boris, and Ogazon. The same night they have the Saw is open too, featuring Red Rooms. Following Friday, there's B12 playing live, Dragana, Elina, Edward, Lena Wilkins. That's a pretty decent lineup on the Finest Fridays. The following Saturday, you have Darwin, Denise Rab, DVS1, Maron, Kelza again. Yo, Kelza plays a lot at Berghain, isn't it? Kelza and Ogazon, who I get confused with all the time, they like unofficial residents now, it feels like. They're like unofficial residents. Okay, fair play. So you got Darwin, Denise Rab, DVS1, Maron, Kelza, Sol Ortega, and Vacaro. And so Veraco. Panorama Bar, you have A for Alpha. Oh, I love that name, by the way. A for Alpha. Who's that? Who's A for Alpha? That's a really cool name. A for Alpha. Let's see what they... I'm interested to see what this person plays. Let's check out their SoundCloud. Oh, A for Alpha is a lady and she's from Bristol. Big up A for Alpha. UK, stand up. That's sick, man. And this person doesn't seem... That's something I love about Berghain, right? Because they book legit artists. Like, this person doesn't even seem that famous based on their follower. I don't know if they got more followers on Instagram. But they've only got 2,000 followers on SoundCloud. Let's check their Instagram. It's pretty sick, man. I like that they book DJs. You know, they don't book them based on their following. They book them based on, you know, their vibe, whether or not they think they need a platform, whatever. Look at that. They only got 8,000 followers on social. That's pretty sick. I like, not only like it's less, but you know, it's not some like big number. She's not all over the timeline in a skimpy outfit, you know. She's a good looking lady, don't get me wrong, but you know, it's all about the music more. So big up A for Alpha. This is sick. I want to see what they play. What does A for Alpha play? A for Alpha, what do they have sets here I can play? Or is it all gonna, okay, cool, there you go. Recent A for Alpha tune, what's this called? Talk to Me, a record on Outboard. Let's hear what this sounds like. Yeah, perfect Panorama Bar vibes. Perfect Panorama Bar vibes. Big up A for Alpha in the house. Let's fucking go. Yeah. A for Alpha's more than deserving of that slot. More than deserving. Off that one track alone, she's more than deserving. Okay, let's scroll down. Let me play one more thing from A for Alpha. Let's play for the Instagram. Let's see one of her blends. Let's see what she's got here. Anything pinned? Okay, pinned is the releases. Let's see. Any singer we can play. Let's play this one. I think this is a radio station shit, right? Let's see what she played here. Is that a video? Yeah, it's a video. Let's see. Hopefully that plays. She's good, man. She's gonna fucking destroy Panorama. She's gonna destroy it. You know it. Oh shit.
I actually love this song so much. I think this is possibly in my top 3 favourite songs ever.
Oh wow. Yeah. Next one.
Wanna be with you. Wanna be with you. Is that bass drum die, bro?
Woo! She's hard. That's how you know she's from the UK. Look at those levels. Always in the red. That's how you know she's from the UK. We hit the levels on the red. In Berlin and Europe, they're all about, you know, making it soft, only letting it hit the top of the orange or a little bit outside the green. Nah, in the UK, we ram the levels. We're always high. Put that level high. Gain always on maximum. Big up the maximum gainers. Last one.
So Ezra was asking for a little ID on the last one. It's Hippie and Tony Hewitt, The Sleeper. The whole EP is lovely and it came out on Siesta. It's a really, really great like West Coast American house label from the early noughties.
Yeah, she's a musician. She's a musician. She's a musician. Yeah, she's gonna kill it. Big up A for Alpha, man. That looks like a good lineup. So as you can see there, just based on my rudimentary research, this night is gonna be special. The third. This might be a good one to note down. And I've always said, and my advice to people who do sometimes DM me and ask what's the best place to go, how to go, advice, I would always say you try to avoid the nights where it's like big blockbuster DJs. Yes, obviously those nights are great, the special events and stuff, but try and go to like random ones, random club nights, random ones, right? Usually those ones are the best, and usually will give you a better idea and a better impression of the club if it's your first time going. You appreciate it, because if you go and see a great, DJ that everyone fucking knows, you're always gonna have a good time because these are some of the best DJs in the world. But if you're someone that you don't know and you're kind of going into it blind, you're gonna be really surprised to see how the whole club kind of works. And it's gonna give you an appreciation for everything. So I'd recommend these type of nights over the big blockbuster ones personally. Even though there's some big people playing here like DBS1, Marin and Kelza, who are really highly rated and kind of hype now. Overall, it's still a very, I don't know a lot of these DJs here, right? I've not heard of a lot of them, like Dennis Rab, Solo, Tega, I've not really heard play. I've heard of Verico, A for Alpha, I've just found out who that person is today. So this is going to be I reckon it's going to be a sick one. Panorama Bar continues with A for Alpha, Baby Roland, Baked, Bell Towers, who I'm a big fan of, Make a Dance, Nashka Khan, and someone called Oracy. So yeah, a lot of people that I don't know, but based on what I've heard from A for Alpha and how they program the nights and shit, I think this is going to be a sick one. The third is good. Thursday the 8th, you got Hunger to Create featuring Dasha Rush, Scholas Mirabelle, someone called Heimbach playing live, Surgeons Girls playing live, and R Rose. Friday the 9th, you got Love on the Rocks, Johnny Rock, Obi, Paramida, big up Paramida, Seth Troxler, the OG, the legend, Thomas Station also playing. On the following Saturday, on the 10th, regular club night, you got Doris Berg, Floor Plan, big up Floor Plan, one of the best producers out there. At Pano Bar, you got Justin Cudmore. I wonder why in this lineup, I wonder why it's this way around. On the Saturday, the Pano Bar lineup is at the top and Berghain lineup is on the bottom. Usually the other way around. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Justin Cudmore, Lucuti, Massimiliano Pellegrini, Mystery Affair, N. Balmeka, Tamo Suma. Then in the Soul Room, you got Portobello playing live. Berghain, you got Sorcery live. You got Blanca playing, Efdemin, Inox Tracks, Jesse G, Quartz, Luke Slater, and Marcel Dietman. Pretty decent. Soul, you got Lone Front, Hypnotic Black Magic, Jeju, and YSK. On the 16th, in Pano Bar, you got a Sister Night with Core Super. Oh, these are all girls, right? I think. Core Super, Natalie Ceres, Pangea, Sophie McAllister, Special Request. I think so. Anyway, regardless, great lineup still. 17th of May, you've got a regular club night featuring Amotech, Fidel, Gaetano Parisio. Oh, sick. Isabel Soto, John Talabot, again, great producer. Len Faki, legend. Rika Zalan, legend. Pano Bar, you got Alexander Skaken playing. Henriku, Omoloku, Ryan Elliott, great DJ. Sumi playing, and Vince. And Susie Ijo playing, and Vera. Again, really good lineups in this. A lot of unknowns, but a good mix of people. Thursday 22nd, you got a Magic Power Night featuring O Wells live, V1 Issa, 41 Issa, I think. Atlas, Coco, Cobra presents Body of Water and Teals. On Friday, you got the Laundrette Night, which is always great, featuring David Ilimix. Who's got, I think they've got a feature of him on RA. It's really good, actually. I think it's RA. Joker's playing, Nyx, Partok, Roy Perez, Rumidi De Barris, and Samira. Saturday, you've got Yanamaste. Oh, Yanamaste is playing at fucking Night Service this month as well. 25th, so make sure you check out Night Service. Night Service at Fold on the 25th. Yanamaste UK debut, so that should be fucking cool. Yanamaste live at Berghain. Amoral playing, Ben Clock, Nasty, Vogan, Norman Nodge, Farah, Face Fatal, Unhuman, Pano Bar, Chloe, Dukwa, Isabel, Lisa Sarako, Nicola, Ogazon again. Oh, Ogazon's playing twice in 1 month. Interesting. Big up Ogazon. Victor, on Wednesday, you've got Finest Wednesday with Fadi Moham, Atec, Forsberg, Shindu, Yamor. Soul Night on the 29th, you've got Inertia, Ira Glass, Octo Iterna, I think. Thursday, on the Friday the 30th of May, you've got Sound Metaforce's 10th anniversary, part 2. Audrey Danza, Budino. Ooh, that's a good night. That's going to be a housey affair. Budino, Francisco Farah, Ron Trent, Sound Metamorphosis DJ, sorry. And the following, oh, that's a good one. The end of the month, 31st of May, you got Tobias, Anika Kunst, Uzbek, DJ Sir Gillis, Mary Yasokovska, Perfo, Stefan Goldman, Stoich, and then Panorama. Hold on, is Stoich that guy that wears the mask? Is that the same guy? STOJ, isn't that? He's kind of like a business techno guy, no? Interesting, he's playing Pano. Is that the guy with the mask? Is that him? Stoji or Stochi DJ, is that him? Oh no, somebody else. Okay, I'm thinking about the guy that wears a mask. This is another person. Okay, big up Stoji. But I think the guy that wears the mask, I forgot his fucking name. He kind of looks like him, or the name kind of looks similar. Anyway, going back to the list. So the 31st, you got that. Panama, you got Alex Kaizan, Andrea Gulusi, Bashka again, second time in a month. Carlo Valdez, Cynthia playing, that'd be sick. I big up Cynthia, love her. One of the best producers out there again. DJ Rush, Heidi Lorden, big up Heidi Lorden, absolute legend. And Saul, Egyptian Lover playing live. So sick lineups, to be fair. If I'm gonna give you my snapshot review in terms of what the best night is to go to, I'ma definitely say, off the bat, the opening day, feature in the garden with Bashka, Boris, and Orgazon is gonna be fucking special. It might even be like a family affair. It's gonna be full of, you know, it's gonna be a vibe. That's gonna be a fucking vibe. It's gonna be a sick set, a sick night to go to on the Thursday, at 12 p.m. And then I say the other option would be the 3rd of May, which features Darwin, Dennis Rab, DVS1, Maron, Kelza, Saul Ortega, Veraco, A for Alpha, who we just found out is a sick DJ and great producer, Baby Roland, Baked, Bell Towers, Make a Dance, Nashka Khan, and Oracy. And then the other one, which I'd say is the last one, would be the 31st. Tobias, Anika Kunz, Uzbek, DJ Sergilis, Mary Yashkovska, Perfo, Stefan Goldman, that Stojki person, Alex Cassian, Andre Galusi, Bashka, Carlos Valdez, Cynthia, DJ Rush, Heidi Lorden, Egyptian Lover. So 31st of May, 3rd of May, and 1st of May are probably my picks to go for. But check it out, available now at Berghain.Berlin. You'll find a program there. Check it out, check it out, check it out. I do recommend you do check it out if you can. The other one I wanted to talk about, the other one that's opened is Else. Big up fucking Else. Else is a nightclub in Berlin that's that's basically an outdoor space. Really, really cool vibe. I've been there once before. It's also the famous place where what's his face? Where that guy from Berlin that's always crying and complaining about stuff, where he famously got chucked out of, and that started the whole kind of backlash against him on social media. I forgot his fucking name, but that's one of the places where he was at during the pandemic, when people were required to only party out in outdoor venues. But it's only open during the summers, which is annoying because I'd love to go there when it's cold and still party outside. I feel like Berlin do that really well in terms of having outdoor spaces where you can still rave and shit. I think we even experienced that when we went to Amsterdam actually. There's loads of kind of venues that have a great outdoor garden area, and there's usually a booth there where you can kind of DJ and dance, having a good time. Anyway, Else is open. They've just announced basically the lineups for all of their nights. So we're going to go and check those out now, courtesy of RA. But the summer program has started, and I think it's opening when I'm there. So when I'm in Berlin at the end of this weekend, or the end of the last weekend of this month, which is the 25th, it will be open. So I'm really looking forward to going there and having a different experience, because most of my time will obviously be spent in Berghain. If I get in and shit in like a dark room with pounding beats and stuff. So it'll be nice to kind of, be outdoors, drinking a fucking Club Mate, looking kind of sophisticated. So big up Else. This is courtesy of RA. So this is the summer program. They've got the opening program on the 26th. Opening night with Mutual Rhythm featuring Chontani, Glaskin, Hemka, Lars Heusman, Regent, Roy Ruiz, OSC1, Shadow, SLV, Talisman, who I fucking love as a producer, by the way, and Zippo. Following night, you've got an opening on the Sunday featuring DJ Koze, which is Ada, DJ Koze, Dave DK. Everyone's there got a D in their name, in it looks like D, except for Imprux. So Ada, DJ Koze, Dave DK, Def Can Dance, and what else? I wonder if that person is actually Def. That's actually a good DJ name. Which one do I like here? I like Mayday one is also good. Wow, Mayday is fucking sick. Mayday, Jennifer Cardini, Axel Boman, Angel Delight. Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. Time Passages Night featuring Binh, DJ yeah, I like that the programming is also very house leaning, you know, because most club nights or most raves, most clubs in general in Berlin are very techno based. So I like that they have a lot of house leaning kind of vibes in the programming. It kind of softens it up a little bit, which I don't mind. So Time Passages Night is also nice on the second. What else do I like here? Ones that I recognize. They have Else and Mit Mission, which features, I don't know how you say that people's names. Hello Sassy, Jennifer Loveless, who I know, Yaz's, who I like, Primal State I like, and there's also a Bloom Asphalt hosted by Kate Label or Cattle Label. There's a Clubbing Heritage Night featuring DJ P. Oh, this is a nice one. I wish I was there for that, man. DJ P and D Lira, Lake and Hayes and D Tech, Marina and Madalba, Stanislav Stoichkov and Sarah Reef. Nice. There's an Anima night happening. What else is happening? There's a Heist night happening. Patrick Mason. Oh, that's a nice one. Big up Patrick Mason. There's a Patrick Mason, LSDXOXO, Kimchi, Kyle, and Shanda and Vinva. Yo, that'll be a nice one, man. Patrick Mason and LSDXOXO. The Clash of the Queens. The Clash of the Queens. That would be nice. I'd pay to see them. I don't know why, but I'd pay to see them interact in the same space. Patrick Mason and LSDXOXO. Then there's a night happening on the 18th. Else and Ritmo Fatal, Kendall, Chaja, Marara, Bilaria. There's an Opus night. Oh, Matrix Man is playing. Big up Matrix Man. Phil Berg, Lobster, Leah Uchi. Ooh, big up Leah Uchi. She used to be about in the UK a bit. I don't know if she still actually live here. I remember seeing her play at a few London raves. She's a really good DJ. Big up Leah Uchi. So that'll be pretty good. And Phil Berg is also a fucking sick producer as well. So big up him. Else Polyphonic. Oh, you got MCDE playing on the 24th, which is pretty sick. What else do I like here? Cybersex 7 Sundays, pretty nice. Ferrari Riot, Ferrari Rot is really good. Cybersex, who I like as well down the lineup. How many? 17 artists. This 7 Sunday. Well, there's 17 artists. Hold on, let's see the lineup. I want to see the full lineup. There's 17. Someone called Creamy, Cybersex, Daisy, Wary, DHC, Ferrari Rot, Franz, Ines Cartaz, Katie De Jesus, Limbic Sis. Big up Limbic Sis. Posture. Okay. Pretty decent lineup there. 17 artists, nothing but back-to-backs, and hopefully a few gorgeous sunny vibes. Yeah. Else is going to be the vibe, I think, this summer. Else might be the vibe, man. Because it's going to be really hot in them clubs. Don't get me wrong, Berlin do a good job of having aircon in a lot of the clubs. I don't think I've been in... The only club I've been in that didn't really have aircon, that was really sticky, is probably like, I don't know, like Sisyphos or something. But most of them are pretty cool. They do a good job of having functioning air conditioning. What else do they have? The Hot Meal, Across the Universe Night, Byron Yates. Oh, that's going to be a nice one too in June. Byron Yates, Kink, Jinsu, nice. There's a Palm Tracks night also on the 15th. That's going to be pretty heavy and hype, I reckon. There's a BCCO night. Oh, that's going to be hype as hell. That's going to be hype as hell. It's going to be full of people wearing really big boots and shit and stomping from side to side. There's already 279 people that are interested in the event. What the fuck? DJ Hyperdrive, Future 6666, Cara Elizabeth, Too Hot to Play, Toxie Mami, Antha Ratzitz or something. I don't know who that person is. DJ Gigola night happening too. Yeah, so a lot of events, man. A lot of events here. Opus night. D-Dan is also playing on the 4th anniversary of Room Tracks. Cool. A lot of good nights. So check out Else. Like I said, one of the different venues out there in Berlin. Isn't as, you know, techno focused. It's outdoor venue. It's nice and bright. loads of cool, loads of cool things to look at. They've got a nice balcony you can kind of stand on as well, which I really like. Let me actually see if I can find videos of it, because there's else they usually cover your camera so you can't actually see what it looks like, but so you can't take pictures and shit. But it is a pretty decent club and space to be in, especially with all the crates all different colored and shit. So let me see if anybody's actually tagged them in some pictures so you can get an idea on what the vibe is like. But I do like Else. Else is a good vibe. Big up Blood Clot Else. You can kind of see a bit of the vibe here with people standing. I'm not sure if they still got that entrance, but this is a cooler entrance with these lips that you kind of go into, right? Walk into somebody's mouth, no pause. Let's actually go through this bit with the location. Maybe there we go. Get a better idea of what it looks like. Here's some videos of the vibe over there in Else. One of my favorite little spots there in Berlin. Very underrated during the summer. It's kind of like a more hipstery version of Club de Visionaire, isn't it? If Club de Visionaire is more for the normies or whatever, then I guess Else is like, you know, the hipster kind of relative of Club de Visionaire. There's another video too. What's this one here? Oh, that's a Prolism Bar night. Yep. Nice booth, innit? I love that booth design with this cover that's got all these little, that's got these different squares of different colored glass or plastic, I don't know what it is. So imagine when the sun like kind of beams through, you get all these nice different hues. And it's just a nice bright affair because lots of the clubs over there are dark and black. So it's quite nice to be somewhere where some of the crates are colored in really bright colors and there's different colored squares and everyone's wearing non-black clothes. It's kind of a nice change. Vibe. Vibes. Brilliant. I love it. Yo, twerking to techno is fucking crazy, bro. Dropping it, yeah? To fucking techno is fucking crazy. Cool. Let's see some other ones here. Get an idea of the vibe. There's Maron. Look at Maron playing there. Big up Blood Clot Maron. Yeah, big up Maron. By the way, why do people say this sort of stuff to DJs? Come to Colombia. It's well intentioned, but it's like he doesn't choose where he goes. If you want him to go to Colombia, you're better off DMing or leaving comments on your local promoter's page and saying, hey, you guys should book Maron. Get him over there. He's one of my favorite DJs. Please, I'll buy tickets. I'll buy my friends tickets and shit. He can't go there himself. You know what I mean? You don't email people and say, hey, can you invite me to your country to come play? A promoter's got to bring you over. A club's got to bring you over. Do you know what I mean? I never understand these comments. Come to Colombia. And usually when they say that, the person's just been there. They say come to Colombia and it's like, I was just there last week. Like, what? It's like, come on, man. Come on. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, I love Else, man. Good little vibe. I can't wait to go. I think most of these clips are from the pandemic times as well, but I can't wait to go myself. I'm not going to lie. Is there any more clips? Let me see recently if there's any more recent clips before we move on. Doesn't look like it because they cover your phone pretty well, so you can't really see a lot of the inside there, which is a good thing. Which is a good thing because it's all a surprise when you do finally get in there. But it is a pretty good vibe. So big up Blood Clot Else. Can't wait to be in there eventually. I think this is a clip from inside. Big up Jack. Just tuned in. What's the event at Else? We're just talking about the what you call it? They've opened up. They started up their thingamajig. What's that called? Their summer program. So it's opening on the 26th of April. The summer program started. So they put out the lineup for the summer program, and it looks pretty healthy. It looks really, really healthy. Loads of great nights. So check out RA for all of their links and stuff. But there's a few good nights on there already for their summer program, as you can see here. Opens on the 26th of April. So yeah, good vibes, and what else? Is anything else I missed out on when it comes to Else? I think I saw all of them, right? So I think there's that one. Let me double check and go through a few more of these clips anymore. But yeah, they do a good job of covering the images, to be fair. Looks like people actually obey the rules. There's not a lot of video clips on the inside. Most of the clips I see from the inside are during the, what's it call it? What was I gonna say? Post-pandemic, or during the pandemic actually. Where maybe they're being a little bit more loose and letting people do what they wanted, but I think since then they've kind of locked down on the pictures. I don't see a lot of pictures on here from Else, from the inside anyway, which I think is a good thing. There's a clip here of Freddie K from a while back, I think, playing at Else. Can I see that one? Yeah, it's from 2024. Maybe he has some clips of him playing. Yeah, this is a review from Freddie K. So if you don't agree or you don't listen to me in terms of making an effort to go to Else, this is Freddie K's review. Really, I don't have the words. This is from last year. Really, I don't have the words available anymore to describe what I experienced personally last Saturday at Kia Else. Day and night with the most beautiful family, a special community united by the smiles, the craziness, the dance, and the love for the music. That energy is impossible to capture to any other. Key Vinyl is my personal vision, and all the artists involved are one important piece of the vision. Everyone supporting Key is a part of it. Saturday was one of the most beautiful feelings I had in the last years. The perfect interpretation of a moment from every artist. That place, that colors, that screams, that group. No video and picture policy makes a day and night like this one of the most memories that will stay forever and that will not everyone can understand, except if you were there. Thank you for the music, Constanza, Hurdelinsk, Rebecca Deli Pian, Kaiser, Casey Fable, and all the artists on Key Vinyl, and definitely thanks to everyone for the ongoing energy and love. Without the connection of all of this, it doesn't really exist. Key family is real. Wow, that's amazing. First slide, the last two standing at 7:50 AM. I was destroyed, coming with no sleep from Portugal. Let's hear some more clips. Yeah, I love how they display the lineup too, in this old cinema style as well. You got the whole lineup there, people playing too. I like that little addition. One thing about Freddie K fans, they're gonna whistle, they're gonna scream, they're gonna let you know they're loving the vibe. That's the thing about Freddie K fans. They are not shy about whistling and screaming. Most techno people hate that sort of shit, but I love it. I love the energy and the vibe that they add to it. Because I'm assuming most of those whistlers and screamers are probably Mediterranean folks, right? From Italy or Spain and shit. And they always had a good little vibe to the dance. I'm not going to lie. I encourage it. Big up, big up. Yeah, this sounds good, bro. Freddie K was actually just in thingy recently. I'm thinking of actually going to Open Ground because I did check online and saw that you can get a train to Wuppertal. You know, I'm sure some of you guys know this already, but you can get a train from Wuppertal from Berlin. I think it's like 4-hour journey. So it's not too bad actually. Obviously, you can fly directly to there. I don't know I forgot what the nearest city is to Wuppertal. I forgot which one it was, but if you don't want to do it and you want to like combine, you can get a plane to Berlin and then get a train from Berlin to Wuppertal, and it's about 4 hours. So I think that might be the situation to go see Freddie K play May. I think he's playing Open Ground in about May-ish times. Big up the stream chat. Big up Jack. What's this? There's a Fold and Else event I think I saw on RA. Oh yeah, true. There is. Yeah, you're right. There is. There's a Fold event, isn't it? Big up Fold. There is. Yes. I think it's later in the month. Later in the year, sorry. Later in the summer. I think it's after July, right? Yeah, I think I did see a Fold. Yeah, Fold are doing an event in Else as well. Let's see. So you got April, we've seen that already. June, is it July? When is it? Let's load some more here. Else and Opus. Yeah, there we go. 5th of July. Wow, that's pretty. Oh yeah, I've already favorited it. Cool. That's pretty sick, man. That's a really good acknowledgement of all the work they did. Oh, look at the following day. Falomore. That's gonna be busy, innit? He's super popular, man. People love him, and that vibe that Falomore plays. That disco housey vibe is perfect for Else. That's why there's already 279 people interested, and it's all the way in fucking July. Damn, that's gonna be. And that's just him playing, by the way. That's just him playing all night. I'm assuming no one else on the lineup. It's already got 279 people interested, compared to a BCCO night features Blawan, features Exit, and it's only got 118. So you can see how popular the pool that Falomore has. Wow, that's gonna be fucking sick. There's a Gigan night happened too with Gigan and Pornceptual. Okay, CSD night happening there. Loads of nights, man. There's Freddie K is actually playing. There's a Key Vinyl night. Oh, I have to favorite that one. That's the 9th of August, right? Okay, cool. That might be of interest. That might be of interest. That might be of interest actually. Else Key Vinyl 9th of August. Not mad at that. Narcissist is playing, who I love. I know people don't like Narcissist, maybe because he's really popular. I don't know why. But I really like him. I think he makes some good tunes, man. He's a good vibe. I just like the fact that also he's fucking bright, right? Different coloured hair, nails, brightly coloured clothes, just a refreshing behind the booth, not just wearing a fucking extra large black t-shirt. So big up Narcissist. He's playing on the 17th of August on the Sunday. That looks like a good one. You got BCCO now happening on the 22nd. Again, BCCO are doing so many nights there, man. God damn. Pablo Boozy. Oh, Pablo Boozy. I haven't heard about him in ages. What happened to that guy, bro? He was killing it. I wonder what he doesn't. I don't even play things. I wonder if he's boycotting Berghain. I'm not seeing him playing Berghain in a while on lineups. What happened to Pablo Boozy? His stars kind of dimmed a bit. He's fucking sick. I really like Pablo Boozy. He's gonna suit that vibe as well. Really good there. What else is there? Sesh, Clara Couve, MCRT event on the 31st. So it's open up until when else? Else is open all the way until the end of September. Okay. And then the closing party is in September. So it's open from April to September. That's a great way to have a club, isn't it? That honestly, when I eventually open my club, that might be a solution. Having a club that's only open seasonal. Like from April to September. It's pretty decent. It's a pretty hectic, April to fucking September. Because you're basically open all day, all weekend. But God, then it gives you a break, do you know what I mean? After September to kind of chill and whatever else it may be. That's a pretty sick night. There's loads of good nights here, man. Too many good ones to mention. Too many good ones. So check it out. Else is fucking sick. Big up Don Dota. I need that Alor's Dance Techno Remix ID. Big up Jack. I did Wuppertal to Berlin recently. So easy. Oh, really? Okay, cool. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I've just got started with European trains. I missed out on it, man. I wish I did more inter-European travel when we were still in Europe. It would have been so cool to do like a whole trip all the way through Europe, traveling around and spending a lot of time in places. But now, obviously, you've only got like a 30-day, I think, thing you can stay in Europe for without having a visa and whatnot. But yeah, the trains in Europe are fucking brilliant, man. So easy to use, especially the ones in Germany to get around. But most European countries, I went to fucking Amsterdam and those ones are easy to use as well. So I'm probably going to do that as well, because I'm a big fan of open ground from afar. I really want to check that club out and the sound system and the fucking space itself. So that might be a vibe, man. Kill two birds with one stone, fly into Berlin, do your thing, or maybe just fly into Berlin, open ground, then come back, then home. I don't know, but I'll figure it out. Big up God's favorite. Run it up, asking the real questions. Yeah, exactly. Your favorite DJ's favorite label. But yeah, I'm on it. Big up Else. I love Else. Else is a vibe. Big up Else. I love Else. Else is a vibe. Continuing on. Big up DJ Phyton. This clip of DJ Phyton on How Long Gone podcast really upset people on the Berghain community subreddit. They weren't really happy with this clip. DJ Phyton basically explaining why he's not the biggest fan of Berghain. So you listen to me on my particular pod, on this particular channel, waxing lyrical, sucking off Berghain, right? I'm on my knees, slurping Berghain with two hands, giving Berghain a big sloppy toppy. I'm bouncing on that proverbial Berghain schlong, you know? I'm always out here glazing Berghain. But it's quite refreshing to hear people who don't have the same opinion as me, who look at Berghain a bit differently and think, it's not that good. It's a bit overrated. I quite like hearing that opinion to hear what the other side thinks. So this is DJ Phyton, who currently has a really good EP out at the moment. Check it out. I've been listening to it a couple of times in the gym. Big up DJ Phyton. And yeah, he has some very interesting opinion when it comes to Berghain and why he would never play there.
Ashwagandha line and get your head straight. You know, it don't work like that.
Yeah. Exactly, bro. Exactly.
OD on melatonin.
So you would
magnesium.
if you know, dream come true, your ideal situation. What time does the party start? What time does it end? And what time do you play?
It'd be cool if people could actually have fun, like 12 to 2. You know, like just be drunk and high already then.
just get to it a little bit earlier.
That was when I used to party, I'd start doing coke at 9 p.m. Like, I want to get this shit over with.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to be up till the sunrise. But I guess that this is the whole thing, is it has to go like all night. That's like the deal.
Well, I mean, like with like dance music at like attendees, like you'll hear people like, you know, Berghain, like in Berlin.
Yeah, of course.
Like, have you ever heard anyone be like, "Oh man, I saw the sickest DJ there. It was amazing." It's always like, "I was at Berghain." No, they only say, "I was at Berghain for like 14 hours, bro."
That's a really good point. People that go there a lot won't want to hear it, but that's a really good point. I hear more people talking about their endurance and how long that they've partied there than I hear of people commenting on how good the raves are. Like, there's this one particular guy on the Reddit and I think on Telegram. No, more so on a Telegram group. There's a Berlin or Berghain music Telegram group who post these really lengthy reviews of sets and stuff. And there are some people in the group, I feel like, who get annoyed with his posts, you know. And I really appreciate them because he breaks down like everybody who played. Like, he gets there and he will review like 6 DJ sets and shit, which means like he stayed there, like, I don't know, 12 hours or something more. So he's really fucking cool at it. But people don't tend to appreciate his reviews. But if you hear somebody say, "I was there from Saturday to Monday," everyone's fucking upvoting and, you know, waxing lyrical and giving that person props. So I don't know why that changed or how that changed, but I wish there was a lot more impetus or focus on the performances and what people did and how you felt and the tunes that you heard, you know. But I also don't know how many people can really name their favorite song, you know. I don't know. Or they can name a song without using Shazam. So I don't really know if people go to raves just to get fucked up or if they're going to listen to a person play. You know, I'm not really too sure. Or maybe it's a combination of both, but you don't really hear of people reviewing DJ sets or saying what, not even reviewing, just giving their opinion on if they liked it or not and why they liked it. You know, it's mostly just their endurance, how long they stayed up, how much they did, you know, which is a bit disappointing, but I guess it is what it is.
That's actually true. No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, they never say like, "Wow, you know, Jason changed my life." This DJ set at Berghain.
They never are like, "Wow, Peggy Goo did such a beautiful set." They're more like,
"Yeah,
I peed on that guy, I peed on that guy, and I peed on that guy."
Exactly.
I held up the wall at Panorama Bar for 6 hours because I thought it was a person, but otherwise it was pretty fun. I mean, that's a really good point, and you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I've never heard anyone mention who has played at Berg. As many stories I've heard about going there, I've never heard that.
Yeah, it's always about marathoning. People love like marathon partying and like staying up and
what are they running from?
Yeah, I mean, have you DJ'd at?
I was running from a lot back in the day when I first went clubbing. I was definitely running from a lot. Nowadays, I definitely enjoy being in there, but for sure, living at home for sure, I was running away from a lot of things.
Berghain, like during the day, like a 10 a.m. type shit.
I refuse to DJ Berghain, bro.
Oh, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
Is
like,
it
pre the political stuff?
Wait, what's the political stuff? I don't think I'm familiar.
Because they're German, so they're like kind of Zionist.
Oh, they're bad.
Yeah. I don't know.
They're German, so they're bad. It's hilarious. Oh, I love it.
I'm pretty tapped out, but
you just were like, I ain't doing this.
Yeah, I think there were maybe a little more Israel and a little less Palestine.
Yeah, I think
as well.
Something like that, and I think they were like, this is all hearsay, but I think they were like stopping booking like really like vocally pro-Palestinian DJs or something like that.
Really?
So now Berghain is being like all like
I thought you were gonna say they weren't letting gay people in. I was like, well, that's they're fucked.
As long as they're white, let them in.
Yeah, like I don't know what you're.
Holy shit!
I don't know. There's not a lot of people you can. I mean, you need them.
Okay, you know what? I'm not gonna play Berghain either.
Yeah.
But you were saying no. You were just like, I don't think this is cool. I don't want to do it.
Well, I don't like the door policy thing of like being like he's cool, he's not, she's cool, she's not. Like
great impression of Sven.
Yeah.
I don't like that. And then also like it's like sonically limiting. Like you're like they're like it sounds like this in here all the time, so play like this. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see. Like there's a dictated sound for every space in the club.
Yes, exactly. Which like
because you wanna ride the rainbow. You want to play whatever you want all night. You don't want to be.
Yeah, me and Jason, we like to have fun, bro. Yeah, you know what I mean. It's not that serious.
Yeah,
it's
you can't play Santeria in Berghain. They're gonna have an issue.
But that's
with
also Berghain doesn't feel like a place you go to have fun. Like you're saying, you go there to do fucked up stuff and stay up as late as you can. You know what I mean?
I kind of get what they mean. It doesn't sound like it makes sense, but I kind of get what they mean. What they're basically getting at is similar to the issue that LSDXO had with Berghain, which is probably why he doesn't play it anymore. Remember when LSDXO was like, essentially like pissing people off because he was playing like Britney Spears in the main Berghain room, and everyone was getting annoyed that he was playing like party songs and silly songs and shit, because I guess Berghain is a sacred place where you have to play serious techno and blah blah blah. At the time, I think I sided a lot of people. I think I gave into the mob and the groupthink. But now thinking back at it, I think that he was actually ahead of his time. He was actually speaking sense. It should be fun. It should be a party. Why should it all just be serious, dark, fucking depressing music? Why can't you play Kylie Minogue, George Michael, Pet Shop Boys, Beyonce, Britney Spears, whatever remixes on the dance floor at Berghain? Why not? We all know those records. We've all heard of them. We all grew up listening to the radio, hearing our parents play certain tunes. We know the words of them. So if you play an edit of Whitney Houston and shit, that will go off on the Berghain room, but you can't do it because people will look at you like you're a hack, right? Like you're being cheesy and shit. And then he eventually, I think pissed people off with that sort of thing. I don't know if he stopped playing there, if they stopped booking him, but either way, I haven't seen him since. I think he said that tweet about, Berlin being racist. I forgot what he said. But I think he had a point in terms of it's not a fun, loosey-goosey place in general, Berghain. It's a bit too serious, so you can't really have fun with your sets, especially with the fans and the people that go there. They're very serious. They take their stuff very seriously, which is probably what they're trying to say in terms of it not being fun. But it is fun, but it isn't in terms of some of the music choices. Maybe it can be a little bit rigid in a way.
Like that's kind of...
Or you just go there to get in.
Yeah, and be able to tell your friends you went.
Yeah,
that's true. That's a good point.
Very good observation too. There is a lot of that too. People just go in there to get in for the story. Not really for the experience itself, which is, is what it is, I guess.
True, that's a good point.
Which is also something that I'm not into that.
An accolade I'm not looking for.
Do you like to, but is it pretty, I've always wondered this, but like, do you feel like you can take it anywhere you want most nights when you're playing? Like, do you feel like or do you think a promoter's going to come up and be like, hey, bro, like, nah?
No, it's more like the crowds, bro. Like
yeah.
Some crowds take dance music so seriously, like I don't know, so you can't really like have that much fun with it.
I try not to associate with people like that, but I'm sure they exist.
Yeah, they exist.
Yeah, a lot of people are not into whimsy on the dance
Yeah,
floor.
which is ridiculous. It's like you're literally dancing. Like it's one of the most whimsical things you can do. Like
yeah.
Like why is this?
Well, it's also called a party.
Yeah, it's called a party. Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of people the dark side of EDM where you see them dancing to techno with no smile on their face, and it's sort of like a ultra marathon runner who doesn't want to be running. Like if I don't dance like this, I will kill my family. It's like that kind of energy.
yeah.
Which is not good.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess
that's the new rock boot skanks. The new rock boot skank.
You can't get into like a headspace of like it's somewhere weird, but like I don't know, man. I just want people to have wholesome fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think you have the best attitude I've ever heard, honestly. And I Jason, I know, has a similar attitude. I'm sure that's why you guys can play together and it's easy and it's fun.
Yeah.
But I just think that, there's a level of seriousness.
I don't even know what genre means.
Genre? I don't know her. I've never met her.
Yeah, I searched it on Google and it says no results found.
I just feel like people do take that shit. As an outsider, I do feel like I've seen people take it so seriously, and I'm like, are you joking? Like,
yeah, no, I think.
But to be fair, people take a lot of things too seriously. Reality TV, White Lotus, like people take everything, menial, irrelevant things too seriously nowadays because there is a real lack of culture. There's a lack of interesting things. So whatever we do have, we hold on to it with our dear lives, which I can understand why.
I think they're serious, dude.
They're definitely. I mean, people take everything too seriously, though. That's one of the problems with our society in general.
I completely agree, dude. I just want people to let loose, be themselves.
We're gonna die.
Make mistakes, make splites, dude. It's fine.
It's totally fine.
It's not the end of the world.
A Delta representative is gonna sort me out.
Yeah, the kindest lady. They're so nice, dude.
Anyway, you get the gist. So big up DJ Python. Some people weren't happy with what he had to say there, but I completely understand him. I think even what he said about Berghain being sonically rigid, I think is a really good description. Because as much as it feels like a freeing place, a lot of people you read interviews, you hear what people say. They always say it's like a dream to play there. There's a really freeing place, which it should be, because essentially everyone's in there, can't really see you anyway, and they're there to get fucked up. So you probably, if there's a place where you should go and let loose and really express yourself, it's over there, because number one, you're going to play longer than 2 hours, and the customer base, the clientele, are open to hearing something weird, right? They're really open-minded, so you can really test. You can really push things and kind of think outside the box and not be conventional and stuff. But there's no denying that there is a particular sound, associated with that club. And it. You're conscious of it before you step into it as a punter. I'm sure you're conscious of it before you step into it as a DJ. So maybe that also plays into a lot of the selections people play. So even though people should be more free and should be more creative and should take more chances, they probably end up being way more conservative and samey, because you have an intrinsic idea of what to expect when you go in there, because you probably partied in there before, you're aware of the vibe, you've heard all the stories, you've read all the books about it. So you end up just by, default and not being aware of it, picking the same tunes everyone else was picking. It's kind of similar to like fashion designers, where one season, all these different fashion designers from different fashion houses end up, choosing the same color. Electric blue is suddenly in because they all kind of are plugged into the zeitgeist and are kind of feeling what's kind of going on out there. So I can definitely understand that being a thing. But interesting comments regardless, like I said, for all the positive comments and fanfare, mostly from me and others that exist out there at Berghain, it's nice to hear somebody have a different opinion. So big up DJ Python, big up DJ Python. Okay, to end, I wanted to quickly touch upon this. United 0-0 draw against City. Quick review, really. A pretty irrelevant match, to be honest. I think this season has been pretty lackluster for both teams, and I think it showed. Most Manchester derbies are pretty cutthroat, are pretty, full of blood and bluster, or it's Man City just completely schooling us in recent years. But this felt like a testimonial for KDB. KDB announced that he's leaving Man City end of the season, and this actually did feel like a testimonial, I'm not going to lie, because I don't think this game mattered to either team, which is probably why it was so slow paced and kind of whatever else it was. The only positive I'll say that come from this particular match will be Lenny Euro's performance as centre-back. I think he played amazingly well. His ball carrying ability, his just general ability to receive the ball on the half turn was very impressive. I think he's probably better on the ball than a lot of our midfielders, legit. I could definitely see a future for him playing at the center, in the middle of a back three, or as a deep lining midfielder in the future. I could definitely see him evolving there because he's got really good ball carrying abilities, really good on the ball in general for a defender, good passing in general for a defender, and could obviously tackle really well. I love his recovery pace. If anything, he kind of reminds me of Rafael Varane with his ability to kind of get back and track back and kind of poke his foot around or wrap his foot around the player and poke it the other way. So that was pretty impressive. But apart from that, it was a pretty shit game. I thought United's attack was completely blunt and lackluster, mostly because of the selection. I don't really know why Amorim decided to start Højlund over Zertsky, or then switch Zertsky and play him up front when he took Højlund off. I think Zertsky has really improved and impressed playing that number 10 role, or one of the number 10s, or playing just behind the striker. And playing him up front doesn't really get the best out of him, especially when you're playing him alongside Garnacho, who doesn't really tend to like to cross the ball. Very selfish player. I thought Garnacho was terrible. Maybe one of the worst performances I've seen for Garnacho. He just consistently just keeps disappointing you with his decision making. And I really don't understand what's going on with Garnacho. I'm not too sure if it's like he's been told he's allowed to do what he wants, because every time he gets the ball in a position where he should pass, he shoots. But he doesn't seem to be sorry, and no one seems to be barking at him. Because in other clubs, if an attacking player has a position where they could pass but they shoot and they miss, the strikers and the rest of the team give them a good rollicking, because football's all about the team. It's about the team winning. Yes, individual accolades and awards are important, but it's about benefiting the team. So if you just go selfish and you go your own way, then usually your teammates kind of pull you up for it. But with Garnacho, that doesn't seem to happen. So I'm not too sure if he's been told to do that, if he just does it because he can do it anyway, because he doesn't give a fuck. I don't know. But Garnacho, I don't like. I'd like him sold ASAP, but the fan base seems to be fans of Garnacho because he tries, I guess, and he runs a lot, but there's not a lot of quality there. But on the flip side, to be a bit, to give Garnacho the benefit of the doubt, he's also playing for Manchester United, and we're not the most stable club in the world, and there's not a lot of players in this team apart from Bruno who've developed. Even Bruno, I don't think he's developed that much as a player. I think he's the same player as Sporting, but we don't really develop players well. So Garnacho is kind of stagnated. He doesn't look great. He makes the wrong decisions more so often than not. But I don't know if it's because of his climate and the environment he's in at United, which is kind of toxic. Because everyone that leaves United, Antony just goes on. Antony went to fucking Real Betis and turned into fucking Ronaldinho. It's no coincidence. Something's definitely amiss at the club. But I still would want an upgrade in Garnacho. I don't want to rely on someone like him next season. Please, for the love of God, no. Bruno Fernandes, probably a better game from him as well. I feel like he didn't waste the ball. He kept the ball pretty decently. I was impressed with Casemiro. I think Casemiro was pretty decent. Ugarte was really bad. He definitely showed his shortcomings when he got on the ball. Very unable to, just unable to kind of, check his shoulders. Doesn't receive the ball well in the half turn. There was a moment where he got past the ball and it went rolling underneath his foot because he wasn't paying attention. He doesn't look the best when the ball's on his feet. He's better breaking up play and kind of giving it to the players who can play and kind of progress up the field. And Dorgu was a bit wasteful in the final third. Not the most effective when it comes to scoring or putting good crosses in. But still, I prefer him because he runs up and down and he's relatively fit. And Dallo, so. Overall, a bit of a boring game. I'm not going to lie. Didn't really enjoy it. Very low in quality. And another reminder why it probably would have been better for us as a team if we got relegated. I'm not going to lie. This season where we're like 15th or whatever we are, and we have no way that we're going to ever finish in the top 10, even if we won all our matches, which is not going to happen anyway. I'd rather we just have got relegated. It still confuses me why Ineos decided to, I think we paid Sporting Lisbon 9 million euros, I think, to get Amorim out of his contract at Sporting, to bring him into the team mid-season. We sack Erik ten Hag. We give him a big severance. I think it's like £50 million or something to get him out of the club. And then we sign Amorim for 9 million, middle of the season, who has a very particular way of playing, a very particular style of play that requires a particular set of players that we don't have. He needs really attacking, fast, fit fullbacks. He needs very athletic number 10s who can get around the pitch and shit. And he needs an out-and-out striker. That's what he needs. He showed it at Sporting Lisbon. We signed that manager, we get him on board, but then we don't give him the transfers in the January. I don't get that. Because it felt like they sacked Erik ten Hag to save the season. because they felt as if he wasn't going to help us finish in the top half of the league or top 4. But then you sack him, hire another manager, but then don't give him funds. What's the point, you know? Especially when this manager, like Erik ten Hag, needs a particular set of players. I don't really understand. So I don't know if we got honeydicked by Ineos, if that was a one big scam, or if the plan was always to attack it next summer in terms of the transfer window. Either way, we need a big clear out in the summer. We need a big clear out because these players are no good. I don't think any manager can do anything with these players. They're no good, right? They're really, really no good. And I don't think we are at the position we're in for, a coincidence. I'm still confused why some United fans are really hopeful about the game against Lyon and are expecting us to win the Europa League. I don't understand that, by the way. I'm really confused because I watch United week in, week out, home and away, and we're not good, man. We are not a good football team. We are 15th and we're deservingly 15th. Like, we should have got relegated. If we didn't have some star players in our squad, we would be relegated along with Ipswich and shit and whatever, Southampton. We shouldn't be in this league. We are garbage. So I don't really know why a lot of our fans are expecting us to win the Europa League in order to qualify for the Champions League next season. Like, what's the point of qualifying for the Champions League next season if you're going to be relying on Garnacho and Højlund and shit up front? Like, it makes no sense really to me, but I think some fans are just desperate for trophies and to be in competitions for bragging rights. But I'd rather be in these competitions and actually have a chance of winning them, not just be there for the sake of being there, you know? Like, that's pointless, but, you know, maybe I'm in the minority. Either way, 0-0 draw, I guess. Onwards and upwards. We're facing Lyon on Thursday. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. So, that was it. Thank you for tuning in to the Agostino Zinga Show episode number 895. It's been a pleasure to have your company. I'm going to sign out with my tune today. Before I sign out with the tune today, I want to alert you to please give a listen to this album courtesy of Kapote called Mytho Disco. Kapote is head honcho of Toy Tonics, this amazing Berlin-based house label, I'm assuming. I'm going to guess, kind of, to describe it. House, dance music, party music, house, disco, Italo disco, all that sort of stuff. But it's basically non-techno, and I really love it. I went to one of their raves in Oxy a couple of years ago in Berlin and had a fucking great time. No, is it Klub also Oxy? One of them, one or the other. I don't know which one it was, but it was a great fucking time. And I've been in love with the label since then. They're kind of like a more, I guess, outgoing version of Public Possession, similar sort of aesthetic and whatever else it may be. But they put on a lot of great events. They put on art exhibitions. They have a really colorful group of DJs that they signed with. I'm all about promoting my own thing, but if I was to sign to a label and I was to be part of a collective, I definitely would want to be a part of Toy Tonics. They've definitely got a good vibe about them. They do a lot of events all over the world, all over Europe and shit. They post a lot of those things all over their Instagram. The vibes look immaculate, and the tunes are always a fucking vibe as well. Kapote, the head honcho, has put out an album. It's called Mytho Disco. The song of the day, I'm going to play a different one, but the song that I would love for you guys to check out is a song called Spaceships, which I'm going to play now. But the song of the day is not going to be called Spaceships. It's going to be Kunst al Posse. Like, to be honest, the album is 12 tracks long, so not that long at all. All full of bangers. I personally prefer the second half. Track 6 to 12 is definitely my one, especially tracks like Jerks of Neukölln, Doyum, which is I think a word in Turkish, and the last track, Rituals of Unconformity. Rituals of Unconformity, but I'm going to play this track called Spaceships, which is the opening track of the album, to give you an idea of the vibe. And then obviously the song of the day is going to be called Kunst al Post for those of you listening via the audio side of the pod. But it's definitely a great track. Check it out. Available on Bandcamp and all digital streaming platforms. Mytho Disco by Kapote. This is Spaceship. the gist. You get the gist. Check it out. Mytho Disco by Kapote. My tune today is going to be the song track number 7 called Kunst Al Post, but I could play the whole fucking album as a fucking album of the day. It's fucking banging. It's sick. Check it out. That is my song of the day for Tazz. My song of the day for Tazz. Thank you for checking me out. It's been a pleasure. Never a chore. For those of you who are watching the live stream, make sure you smash the like button down below. That'd be greatly appreciated. Subscribe, all that good shit. And I'll see the rest of you guys later tonight for a random show. But for now, take care. Be safe. Thank you for tuning in. Peace out.